All right, I think we're live. Let me just check on my phone if we are live. I see people joining in. Please comment in the live chat so we know we're live. We're going to be discussing some really unfortunate, stupid, moronic, ill-informed comments. We're live. Let me just check on my phone if we are live. Yes, we're live. That's good. I see people joining in. Please comment in the live chat so we know I'm hearing myself. Let me get rid of the echo. Okay, good. I can't hear myself anymore. So please let me know how the audio is. I'm doing this by my own, so I need you guys' support in the live chat. Somebody tell me if you can hear me. So I don't know if you guys know who Kyle Kulinski is. He has this channel called Secular Talk, and his show is called The Kyle Kulinski Show. He's a very popular YouTuber. So many subscribers, 784. I usually listen to him. I like him. I like his views. Most of the time, I don't like his views on Iran. And the reason why I picked Kyle Kulinski is I think he's a huge representative of a lot of views coming from the left. And I see a lot of these comments from everybody. And he's not far left. He's not like one of those woke people. He's pretty good. He's very sane. He's logical. He's usually very informed. I think he's informed because he usually talks about stuff that, like, I don't know, stuff that I'm not as aware of. So I kind of usually trust him. But now when he talks about something that I know more about, I realize that I need to be skeptical about the other things he's talking about. Because as soon as he's talked about something that I know about, I like, holy crap, this is so wrong. When he started covering Iran and Qasem Soleimani, and the killing and the United States Iran tension, I was like, oh no, this is so bad. This is so bad. And like, okay, and I told people on my Secular Jihadist channel with Ali Rizvi that this guy got so wrong, and a lot of people make the same mistakes, and I thought it's good to review him because reviewing him also reviews a whole bunch of other nonsense that I've been hearing about this. And I wanted this whole thing to like die down and stop until we do like postmortem and cover what how this whole United States Iran tension and the killing of Qasem Soleimani was covered. It's good to go and review back and see how it was done and how bad it was done. And I hope okay. I know this is not going to get as much, like his videos get like 200,000 views, and it's so wrong, and so many people are trust him, and so many people are going to think like he's right, and he's so wrong. Anyway, let me see, you guys are in the live chat. I see you guys, you're live. Thank you. Better audio is good. We know, Sucker Mom. Yes, we can hear you. Great. Thank you, guys. All right. So I'm not editing these. I'm just going to review it with you guys. And if you guys have any questions, by the way, I'm going to try to do more content. So I'm going to do less preparation and more just creation. So there's no like telling you guys like when the show starts. So you guys hit that bell button because that's the only way you're gonna know when I'm gonna be live, because I'm not gonna tell you guys because I don't know when I'm gonna be live. So how can I tell you when I'm gonna be live? And I need you guys in the live chat to tell me if I'm being an idiot, okay? All right, so let's see what the Kyle says. Let me know if you hear Kyle once I start playing this, okay? There's 2 videos I want to review, okay? So let's start with this one. Iranian and peace and contradiction terms, okay.
I'm coming off a week break for New Year's. I'd love to tell all of you that I enjoyed my break, but first of all, I was sick the entire time. You could probably hear it still a little bit in my voice. I had a pretty bad cold. And also, the world decided to implode in the week that I was off air. So I got a lot of catch up to do here, but as everybody knows by now, Donald Trump decided to assassinate a top Iranian general with a drone. We also have an Iraqi military leader who was killed as well. He was the head of, I believe, the Popular Mobilization Forces. Now, the Iranian general, Qasem Soleimani, he was the head of what's called the Quds Force. So, this guy has an interesting backstory. And the more you learn about him, the more you realize that what Trump did here is just totally unconscionable. So this guy first rose to prominence when he fought against Saddam Hussein in the Iran-Iraq War. And then, since then, he's been in charge of providing military assistance to Lebanon and Syria. So his most recent claim to fame is, first of all, allying with the Kurds, which is really important, to fight ISIS and Al-Qaeda, to fight jihadists that were taking over Syria. And he also aligned with the Iraqi government as well to do this. So there was like a united front against the...
Just a clarification, when the Quds Force... Okay, so let me just give you some basics before we continue, because there's a very important point that he missed out here, okay? So the Iran's military force, okay, there's two parts. One is called the Artesh, and one is called the IRGC, or what we call in Iran, Sepah Pastaran, okay? One of them, so usually countries have like an army. Iran has we have two armies, and they're separate. And one is more ideological than the other one, right? So you have the Artesh, which I think the translation of Artesh means army. And yeah, the Artesh was there even before the Islamic Revolution. It was there before Khomeini and Khamenei. It was there during Shah's time, right? And this one is a little bit less ideologically driven, okay? Everything in Iran is ideologically driven, but less compared to the second part, which is IRGC, right? This is more ancient than the IRGC. The IRGC was created by Khomeini as a second, to have a second army, so that the first army doesn't think about doing a coup or something. At first, it was just an anti-coup measure, but then it grew to something much bigger than what it was originally intended to. Arguably, again, much bigger than Khomeini ever wanted it to get, right? Some people would argue that IRGC as a whole is more powerful, is the real force in Iran, even bigger than Khamenei himself, because they have the guns. But that could be argued. Anyways, so, but the IRGC, the Sepah Pastaran, the second army, which is more ideological driven, has different parts. It has the ground force, it has the air force, it has the navy, and the two most controversial parts, which is the two remaining ones, it has the Basij, which is these people, the thugs in the street that if you go and do un-Islamic stuff, they come and arrest you and do stuff like, they're the moral police. And sometimes they're not even wearing any official clothes, or they just jump out of the bushes and you're like, ha, I got you, you were holding this girl's hand, like, oh no, you got me, right? So that's the Basij. And then the other one, which is the most relevant one to the fifth part, is Quds. Quds. I don't know, people say Quds, but it's Quds. All right, not Q. Quds. And Quds is the most controversial part of the IRGC, which is weird because IRGC itself is very controversial, but this is even more controversial, and it is a bit autonomous compared to the rest of IRGC, is responsible for Iran's foreign operations. Is the foreign military, not like a defensive mode, it's like a more offensive part of Iran's military, part of IRGC, and it's kind of like spy intelligence agency plus covert operations, kind of like CIA and Navy SEALs together, like that. Like CIA and Navy SEAls together, the roles that they have, that's what the Quds is, okay? And Qasem Soleimani was the leader of that, the Quds Force. So how could this is what you have to ask yourself. How could the leader of the Quds, which is a part of IRGC, not the whole of IRGC, be the second most influential person in the entire country of Iran, arguably only second to Khamenei himself, the religious supreme leader, more relevant, more influential than the president of Iran? Even though the Quds is part of IRGC, wouldn't the leader of the IRGC as a whole be more influential than the leader of Quds, which is part of IRGC? No. The Quds army, the Quds force was a bit more independent than even though it was part of IRGC, it was more independent than IRGC itself, right? And then, you don't have to... Soleimani was only answering to Khamenei. He didn't have to check with the leader of IRGC, right? And here's another difference between the Artesh and the IRGC is that the Artesh is supposed to be answerable to, like, I don't know, the president, arguably, because the president is just most of it like a puppet role, just a fake democracy. Like, it's nothing. The president is nothing, okay, in Iran, right? But the IRGC is only answerable to they're only accountable to the supreme leader, Khamenei, right? Khomeini before him and Khamenei now. Anyways, so the thing that I wanted to correct, look, we're only 1 minute and 39 seconds in, and I want to correct something. When Soleimani is in charge of Quds army and, you know, the Quds force, and he's in charge of exporting the revolution of Iran. Not, you know what, the IRGC, like, think about the name of IRGC, right? The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. You know what's missing in their name? There's nothing about Iran. You know, they don't mention, they're not about Iran, okay? They're about Islam, okay? And they want to, they are kind of like jihadists without borders, right? They want to go beyond the borders of Iran. Their problem is not Iran. Iran has already been a success mission. Now this ideology has to win in other places, right? And they feel like they won in Lebanon, so they want to make Iraq and Syria the same thing that they did in Lebanon with Hezbollah. They created such a powerful force like Hezbollah in Lebanon, and now they feel like they have such a strong presence in Lebanon. Now they want Iraq to become Lebanon 2.0 and Syria to become Lebanon 3.0, right? So they want to take this out, right? So what he just mentioned that, oh, like, Qasem Soleimani went to Syria to fight who? To fight ISIS. Really, though, right? To fight ISIS. If they went there to fight ISIS, if that's why they were there for, why were they there? Why did they show up there before ISIS was a thing? Before ISIS was a thing. What was Qasem Soleimani doing in Syria before ISIS? Why was he there? Why were Iranian forces there? I'll tell you why they were there. They were there to suppress the uprising of civilians, not ISIS, civilians against Assad. They were there to save their Shia buddy Assad against a civilian uprising. Iran's government was supportive of people uprising, like, oh, look, the Arab Spring, good job, rise against the dictators. Oh, we're not dictators, you know, because we have elections. You guys are dictatorships. You have kings and monarchs, and yes, Arabs, rise against your monarch, you know, masters, free yourselves. And then all of a sudden they rise against Assad. Or like, oh no, that guy's our guy. That guy's Shia. You can't do that. So you support the people's uprising against, like, Saudi monarchs or Bahrain or, you know, in Egypt. But when the dictator is a Shia, like, yeah, we're gonna actually send our proxies to kill civilians, okay, against the uprising of the people. So when Kyle says, like, yeah, these people were there to defeat ISIS, that was not their original intention. Just wanted to clarify that. And I just wanted to give you a one-on-one on everything, and then and also start by adding some important point. Let me see if you guys are saying something. London is saying Kyle Kulinski is right on most things. He can't be right on everything. Yeah, of course. Nobody's right on everything. And when they're not right on something, somebody that knows more about it should call them out. I should be called out when I'm wrong on something, okay? So, yeah, just because I'm calling him out on this stupid, moronic mistake that you'll see how stupid it is, that doesn't mean I don't like him. I like him. I like him. I like his passion. I like his style of his videos. But this is stupid. I'm going to call it out. That's what I do. I could call it out. I'm going to do more of these videos. I'm going to call out moronic mistakes by, you know, tell me who else to cover, okay? And I will do it.
Worst forces of ISIS. And, you know, quite frankly, he was one of the leaders in the fight to defeat ISIS, and he succeeded in defeating ISIS. And, you know, all of the relevant information about this guy is that he was kind of viewed by Iranians as like an apolitical figure because he...
Oh, no, you... Okay, well, let's see. Sorry, I shouldn't pause this early. Apolitical figure. Qasem Soleimani, apolitical figure. Are you serious? Are you serious? Let's see.
About this guy
Let's see his reasoning.
Is that he was kind of viewed by Iranians as like an apolitical figure because he was not involved in the domestic repression at home. So you can blame, you know, the Ayatollah. There's plenty of blame to go around, but generally speaking, even though he was in the Islamic Revolutionary Guard in Iran, he wasn't viewed as like part and parcel or partaking in the domestic repression at home. And, you know, according to some, he was next in line to be the Ayatollah.
No! What?
And he defeated ISIS, and that's his claim to fame. And
you know, doesn't it sound like he's like celebrating the guy? He keeps on like, oh, I blame the Islamic Republic of Iran and all that. But, like, stop it. This guy was a terrorist. Okay? So, so first, he says he was viewed by Iranian people as. Never start a sentence like that. Never start a sentence like that. You think the Iranian people think the same thing? Do you think any large group of people think the same thing about anything? Especially in politics? He was viewed by the Iranian people as apolitical. First of all, nothing is viewed by the Iranian people unanimously in any way, or any other people of any other country, okay? And apolitical is the least, you know, is the last thing I would ever think of when it comes to Qasem Soleimani, okay? So you're saying he wasn't involved with suppressing people internally. Yeah, because he was too busy suppressing people in other countries. That was his job, okay? That doesn't make him apolitical, right? His job was not within the borders of Iran. His job was outside of the borders of Iran. Because he wasn't suppressing people inside Iran because he was too busy suppressing people in Iraq and Syria. Okay? Civilians. And even though he was busy doing that, he still made it clear what his view was when it comes to suppressing people, civilians in Iran. He approved it. He approved it. He was bragging about it to Iraqis. And we're like, you need us to control your civilians? Are they protesting? We have experience in this. We do this back at home. He said that. He actually said that. He wrote a letter to the president in Iran warning him. He didn't write it. He just signed. He co-signed it, warning him that like you are getting out of line when it comes to not showing your allegiances against these protesters and with our religious ideas, with the revolutionary ideology, right? He signed his name on that. So just because his job wasn't suppressing people inside the country, that doesn't mean that he was apolitical. He was the farthest thing away from that. He was the people in Iran most people in Iran either adored this person or hated his guts. How could this be apolitical? He's on the side of the Vilayat al-Faqih, of the supreme religious leader. The people, like, he has to pick his side against the people that are against the Islamic Republic in Iran, and he's on the side of the people that are for it. He's picked his side. How could that be apolitical? What are you talking about? What does that make him apolitical? You could argue that some non-religious people have some arguments for being on his side, so there's some fake unity that sense of unity that he created, and that's another argument that I will make this video hours long if I get into that. Go watch my my coverage on that on Secular Jihadist podcast. But that's not apolitical. Anyways, let me see what you guys are saying in the live chat. Okay, guys, make sure that okay, passion is not a substitute for facts. Yeah, you're right. But I like somebody. Okay, so I like something to be factual. But while you're listening to facts, you want good presentation as well, because you don't want. I consume way too much content every day. You get bored if somebody is not passionate. So you don't want to sacrifice facts for passion. But if somebody is giving you facts more often than not, a little bit of passion is helpful, because if you are consuming content all the time and you're not getting much entertainment, you want your content to also be a little bit entertaining. I like passion. I can't help it. I like when somebody's passionate. I like it. But you have to be careful that their passion doesn't fool you, okay? That if you like their passion, but when you see them saying something wrong, just call it out. Anyways, let's continue.
We assassinated him.
Yeah.
Now, I just need everybody to understand that this is a dude who we were just allies with. So it wasn't like, while we were trying to take on ISIS, by the way, after we armed them and funded them, various jihadist groups, it wasn't like we didn't work with this guy. No, we did. We did. He was the front line on the ground along with the Kurds. So he was just our ally.
All right. So this guy killed ISIS, a lot of ISIS people, right? That's not something to celebrate. I mean, it is, but not. You don't have to celebrate the guy for doing that, because if you want to celebrate this terrorist, Qasem Soleimani, for killing ISIS, for being against ISIS, then you should also celebrate Al Qaeda. Al Qaeda was against ISIS. YouTube, I'm not saying celebrate. Please, YouTube gods, I'm not saying celebrate Al Qaeda. Okay, don't shut this video down. But if you are saying that, you're kind of trying to, you're trying to say like, oh, it was fighting ISIS. So was Al Qaeda, right? Are you gonna be celebrating Al Qaeda? No. And also, I mean, technically, you just said. What did you just say? You said like, oh, we funded these people, like the people that eventually became Al Qaeda and ISIS. Does that mean like, just because United States, I'm not excusing United States, okay? United States made so many not stupid actually, they're being strategic. They did so many things that were immoral. So many things that are goes against the interests of everybody, people in the region, against United States taxpayers and all of that, okay? I call that out all the time. But just because you are somebody is in a small period, like attacking your enemy, and you're like, okay, let's let them do it. That doesn't mean you're working with them. What, when Assad was killing ISIS, does that mean United States was working with Assad? When ISIS was attacking Assad, does that mean United States was working with ISIS? No. Okay, it's just like if two of your enemies are fighting with each other, you might be like, okay, go ahead, do it. It doesn't mean you're working with one of them. Yeah, Kafir is saying Armin is not afraid of anything except YouTube gods. Yes, I am afraid of your YouTube gods because they control everything. Let's continue.
And I'm going to get to a stunning fact later about the situation in which he was assassinated, what he was doing at the time, which is going to absolutely blow your mind.
No, it won't.
So the Trump administration says, well, we had to do it. I had to do it because he was about to attack us. Is there any truth to that? The answer is no. And anybody who's telling you otherwise is absolutely full of it. There's zero evidence to support that assertion. And
there's zero evidence except the fact they weren't about to attack the U.S. They always are attacking the U.S. That's what they do all the time. That's their mission, to attack the U.S. What do you mean they weren't about to attack the U.S.? Attacking the U.S. is what they live for. Okay, it's just part of their mission. They wake up in the morning and go like, oh, to-do list. Fight the Zionists, fight the Sunnis, fight the Americans. Okay, that's my to-do list for today. Tomorrow, fight the Zionists, fight the Sunnis, fight Americans. That's everyday. That's everyday agenda for them. Okay, that's part of their. That's the whole reason why they're there, to find a way to attack Americans and get them out of the region. And even that's that. You think they're gonna be satisfied? No, they're not gonna be satisfied. They wanna. Anyways, let's go continue.
And as a general rule, there are no like Shia terror attacks against the U.S. They come from the Salafists.
No!
The Sunni Wahhabist fundamentalists.
Did you hear
That's where the attacks come from. They don't come.
He said the attacks on the United States don't come from the Shias. They come from the Salafis, which he means like the Sunnis, right? I don't know where to start on this. What are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? Does the Hashd-e-Shabi Shia groups not attack Americans, right? Do all these Shia proxies? Who was killing Americans in Iraq? What was those burned American soldiers that were being hanged from different places? Who was killing those? These were the Shias. What are you talking about? You know, I mean, I don't even know. Like, Iran has been getting away with supporting Shia groups around the regions that have been killing Americans for forever, since the beginning. What are you talking about? They don't kill Americans. And why are you just focusing on Americans? They kill civilians. Do they have to be Americans for you to start caring about their terrorist activities? Why is it this idea? This is what his idea is. The idea is like, you know what? This is what Kyle always says. You know, it's the Sunni Salafis that the terrorists. You know, 9/11, that was the Sunnis. You know, Al-Qaeda is Sunni, ISIS is Sunni. The Shias, they're not that terrorists. Name me one terrorist attack that it was the Shias. You know why it doesn't register to him that the Shias are actually bigger terrorists than the Sunnis? Because he has a Western framework, okay? It's a bit of a big. I'm not gonna call him a bigot, because that would be, but it's an unintentional form of bigotry. You know why? Because most of the terrorist attacks by Shia groups are not done on Westerners. Most of it is done on Sunni civilians. But apparently the terrorist attacks that matters to people like Kyle is if it's done on Europeans or North Americans, which is a shame. Let me see what you guys are saying in the live chat. Guys, tag Atheist Republic if you want me to read something.
Come from Shia.
Shia.
Now, when Mike Pompeo was pushed on this, because he went on the Sunday shows, they've been doing they do a terrible job by and large, those shows do. But there was a little bit of pushback when he was on one of the shows, and the person was like, okay, so you say that, Trump stopped an imminent attack here. There was an attack coming against the homeland? And his response was, no, we have intelligence that he was in the process of planning a plot to Americans in the region.
Yeah, that imminent attack comment was stupid. I agree with that. But to say that these people, there's no proof that they want to attack Americans, that's also stupid, right? So you don't know if it's imminent. You have no idea when they're going to attack. They had no idea. I think they had no idea, actually. I might be wrong. But you're also wrong to say they weren't attacking Americans. They do that every day. I mean, they try to do that.
So look at all the Weasley qualifiers they put in there. It's not that, oh my God, he was going to attack some, Americans. It's no threat to the homeland, no plan against the homeland, and we're saying that he was maybe plotting to attack Americans in the region. Okay, this is now if you hear that and you're like, well, I mean, come on, maybe they know something you don't, Kyle. I'm gonna get to some of what they're arguing in a little bit, and it's just you're gonna be like, they went with that you're gonna be stunned by this.
Okay, that's
so they said he was gonna attack us, and come to find out, even they admit when they're pushed just a little bit, there was no attack plot against us. We're saying that maybe there was one that was coming in the region, which again, no evidence for. And by the way, I do not believe that for a second. And the burden of...
So I agree with Kyle here that the excuse that they're giving for why they attacked Soleimani is not the real reason why they attacked Soleimani. And I think the real reason why they attacked Soleimani is a better one that they give. The one that they give is not the real one, but is the one that in their mind makes it legal, right? Because they're like thinking like, oh, we did this without congressional approval, and that for that it has to be like imminent threat or something. So they're going with that line, right? But the real reason, which might not, be legal, but I think it's more rational, is because they attacked the United States Embassy. They attacked the United States Embassy, and they wanted to retaliate in a way that wouldn't escalate to a war. Iran had gotten away with so many things in the region without any responses from the U.S., and the United States looked pathetic. They looked pathetic. They attacked Aramco. They attacked... I'm not saying... I'm not defending, by the way, Saudi Arabia or anything. I'm not gonna... Alright, they attacked Aramco. They did a whole bunch of stuff in the Hormuz Canal, like ships and stuff, disrupting the flow of oil in the region. They shot down a United States drone, and what else? There's so many other things, right? And Trump was like, blah, 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 you can't do this, and he never retaliated. And the Iranians were like, yeah, look at this guy, he's just talk, but he doesn't do anything. We're going to get away with everything you want. And they went and attacked the embassy of United States. The embassy, that's United States soil. That's an upfront attack on United States soil in the region. If that one went, and they were like, and Trump was like, oh, there's going to be revenge, and the Iranians were like, yeah, sure, let's just like every other time, you're not going to be able to do anything. That's what they said. And then all of a sudden, they took out the number 2 guy in the country. They're like, the Iranians were shocked. The Iranians didn't expect that big of a retaliation. That was huge. But honestly, I think it had to be huge. It had to be a big response without it being a giant military. How could you do, think about it, if you were in the position, how could you do a giant retaliation against your embassy without escalating the whole thing into a war? Because if it's not strong enough, because if you're like, oh my god, we don't want to go to war, so we cannot do a big military attack. But if we don't do a big military attack, they attack the United States Embassy, and we didn't respond. How could we make this hurt be a big response without it being a giant military action? Oh, look, Qasem Soleimani just left the country. He's in Iraq. Big response, and not a military attack. It seemed like a good idea at the time. I mean, I have my criticism of it. There's a lot of details, nuances. You could oh, this might help Iran, it might hurt Iran. This is why it's bad. This is why it's good. No congressional approval and blah blah blah. And yeah, there's a lot of nuances with that. But I'm just saying it's not as simple as Kyle making it out to be. This guy in the live chat is calling me a self-hating Iranian. I don't hate myself. I love myself. Smithy is like, oh, you guys are so wrong. You have no idea what you're talking about. Smithy is saying, I think he's more militaristic than we are. I am against United States intervention in the region. Okay, I think they should just get the hell out of there. I think they should get the hell out of there right. Not today, not tomorrow. Yesterday. Years ago, okay? I think they should just get the hell out of there, all right? But my opposition against the United States is, I think, a little bit more nuanced than Kyle's. I'm not going to get into that. Oh, God. AB is saying he's an Iranian and I'm not. Well, okay. It's good to have you here because I want somebody to represent. AB, I want you to be in the live chat so that people hear the other side, because you're a true Iranian and I'm the fake Iranian. But don't spam, okay? So be there and call me a liar and tell me why I'm an idiot. I'm not gonna block you or anything, but just make sure that you don't like spam the whole live chat, or else I might like have to kick you out. But it's good that you're there, so some people could hear the other side. All right. Let's continue with Kyle's video.
Proof is not on me. The burden of proof is on them to show us that, no, he was actually going to do it. Okay, show the proof. They don't have any. They absolutely don't have any.
Yeah.
Now,
I agree with that.
Here's the underreported, craziest part. We learned this yesterday, and the U.S. media hasn't touched this at all. So Trita Parsi, who's an expert on Iran, he says the following. Wow, wow, wow. According to the Iraqi prime minister, Soleimani was not planning an attack. He was in Iraq. This is where he was killed, at the Iraqi airport. He was in Iraq carrying a message to Saudi Arabia on how to reduce Iran-Saudi tensions as part of an Iraqi mediation effort. And then he's responding to a tweet.
Okay, so wow. That's going to be impartial. Here's the thing. Let me tell you guys. I try to find unbiased sources, but I myself, I'm not a biased source. I'm not an unbiased source. I'm biased. Okay, I'm biased, but I will tell you my biases, so you could take my everything I say with a grain of salt, right? But this guy, like this expert on Iran, I know this guy. He's a very biased source. It's okay to be biased. We all have biases. Just make your biases transparent. Tell people what your biases are, right? So this guy, but let me tell you this. Let Kyle continue. So he's gonna make it seem like Soleimani was there, he's not to cause war. He was there for peace. Let Kyle continue.
That says, this is stunning. Iraq.
AB is saying you hate Iranians. I hate Iranians. Really? Okay. What? Hey guys, come on, you could do better than this. Tell me something useful. You know what? I'm pretty sure I'm saying some stuff that is wrong. I just wish there were better people to point it out to me. Oh, you hate Iranians? Really? That's your criticism of me? Is that what you think? Oh yeah, I'm here like, oh, I hate my own kind. How could I betray the Iranian people? That's why I'm here. Like, really? Come on. Give me something juicy. Tell me something that makes me think like, oh my God, AB might have been right. Maybe I was wrong. Come on, guys. You could do better than this. Anyways, let's see what Kyle has to say.
Iraq Prime Minister tells Parliament U.S. troops should leave, says Donald Trump called him to ask him to mediate with Iran, and then ordered drone strike on Soleimani, says Soleimani carrying response to Saudi initiative to diffuse tension when he was hit. So, not only is it nonsense that they were planning an attack, he was literally on a peace mission when he was murdered, when he was assassinated.
Qasem Soleimani, he's saying, was on a peace mission. Qasem Soleimani, on a peace mission. The guy that his entire job is war was on a peace mission. Really? Why does he say that? Apparently, I mean, Kyle, are you seriously like making Qasem Soleimani try to look like a hero or something? Why does he say he was on a peace mission? Because apparently he was there to meet with some Saudis to come up with an agreement. Why was he there to do that? Maybe, this is just a guess, because the Saudis are scared out of their minds. Because Iran is way too more powerful than they ever anticipated. The Saudis were like, okay, so the Iranian threat in the region, the Shia empire building, the exporting of the Islamic revolution in the Middle East, has become such a major concern to the Gulf Arabs, so much so that they are been uniting with the Israelis. So think about this: the Arabs and Israelis always like hating each other and fighting with each other. They can't stand each other. What brought them together finally? What brought them together was the threat of Iran. That's how big the threat is. They both are so scared out of their minds from from the Iranian influence in the region, which is so powerful, that they're like, okay, we need to work with each other against this threat. And they both, for a while, wanted to drag United States to a war with Iran because they know they themselves don't have the means to do it. And they were like, hey, come big, you're our United States is supposed to be our ally. Come defend us. You said, you're supposed to defend us. That's your job, right? That's our agreement. And then what happened? The Aramco attack happened. Right before Saudi Arabia is they're running out of money. And they're going through an IPO with Aramco, which is their oil company, and they're trying to raise money because Saudi Arabia is running out of money. Everybody thinks like, oh, Saudi Arabia has all the money in the world. How could they run out of money? They're running out of money. Okay, they're running out of money. The oil prices are too low. They cannot keep up. They're gonna go bankrupt if everything keeps going like this, right? And they're like, damn it, we need to, they're doing Vision 2030. They have plans. None of their plans is going to work. They're like, okay, how do we make these plans work to diversify our economy? We know, let's just privatize part of Aramco and just put it on public and sell it and raise money for all our plans. And what did Iran do? Iran is went and used some of its proxies to shoot Aramco oil facilities. And their valuation, which has been tanking forever, just tanked even faster. And Saudi Arabia is like, damn it, these guys, we bought so many defense military equipment to defend everything in their, to defend our assets in Saudi Arabia, billions of dollars worth of equipment from United States. And these Iranians used tens of thousands worth of dollars drone technology, and they almost destroyed, they can't, this was nothing. They just, in a very small attack, they showed Saudi Arabia how devastating Iran could be to Saudi's economy. Right? And AB, if you have nothing else, if you have nothing more useful to say, I'm gonna remove you, but just say something new. You're like, Orientalism. Dude, read a book. You fool. Dude, read a book. I read many books. Okay? I read many, many books. So you have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah. So you have nothing valuable to say. Be better in your criticism. You're just calling names. You have no input. If you want to be critical, say something that I could actually challenge. You're useless in your criticism. Anyways. So when you attacked at Aramco, Saudi Arabians are like, okay, we cannot go to war with Iran. Iran's influence in the region is way too much. They're surrendering. They're now begging United States. They were begging United States to go to war with Iran, and now they're begging United States not to go to war with Iran because they're like, you're over there. If we go to war with Iran, we're right here. And if they could just take out so many of our assets by just a couple of drones, what will happen to our assets if we're in a full-out war? No, we cannot. We need cash. We need money. We cannot do this. We cannot go to war with Iran. Please don't attack. So now the Saudis are completely changed the narrative. And they want to meet with Iranians. And they're like, let's be friends, please. So what you actually seeing Saudis do when they're trying to meet with Soleimani or meet with other officials in Iran, it's a surrender. It's a humiliation. It's a defeat of the Saudis by the Iranians, okay? So it's not a peace treaty. It's a surrender, okay? It's a surrender by a force that will be like, okay, you guys have been crushed. Come kiss the ring. Show us who's the boss so we could move on to other enemies. Does that sound like a peace mission to you? Do you know what Quds means? Quds. The name of the force that Qasem Soleimani was the leader of. Quds means Jerusalem. Do you know why Quds means Jerusalem? Do you know why it's named after Jerusalem? Because these people, their intention is not to just stop at Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Yemen, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia. These people want to capture Saudi Arabia. They sing songs about it. They want Medina and Mecca to be part of the Islamic Republic. I would say Islamic Republic of Iran, but a lot of people in the IRGC they don't care about Iran, right? It's not called the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. It's called the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, right? So, because their agenda is not Iran, their agenda is the entire region. They're not going to stop at Saudi Arabia. They're not going to stop at Bahrain. They're not going to stop at United Arab Emirates, Qatar. They want all of that. They want all of that to be part of their Shia Islamic Empire plus Jerusalem. That's their final destination. They want to capture Israel. They sing songs about that as well. They want to commit mass genocide in Israel. Eventually. That's their final destination. They want to raise the banners of Khomeini and Khamenei on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. That's what they want to do. That's their dream. That's what they see when they fall asleep. Those are the images that they see in their head when they're falling asleep. Okay? So, does that sound like somebody's on a peace mission? Or does that sound like, oh yeah, we defeat, you guys humble yourself in front of us so we could move on to other enemies? Does that sound like a peace mission to you? The idea of exporting the Islamic revolutionary ideology from Iran to other countries is in Iran's constitution. It's written in their constitution. It's written inside their constitution. Look, AB is actually, AB is good. He's in the live chat because he's part of those mentality. He's like, it means Quds. Quds means Jerusalem because it needs to be freed. Oh, great. So AB is actually here to prove my point. So he agrees with the fact that it's good that they're going to go and free Jerusalem from the evil Zionists. And what does that mean? That means eventual mass genocide. That's what it means. That's what they want. Oh, Iran doesn't seek more land than it already has. Oh, wow, AB, sure. It doesn't seek more land than it already has. Sure. It's in their constitution. You're like, oh, go read the book. Yeah, go read Iran's constitution. Their whole plan is to export the revolution outside of the borders. They even coming up with names for it. They're like, you know what, the Doctors Without Borders and all that. They're using that. They're like, revolutionaries without borders. That's what they call themselves now. Sure. Anyways, let's continue with the video. It's peace mission. He was on a peace mission. Really, the guy that he's being called by the Syrians as the child murderer. That's why they called Soleimani the child murderer. That's what the Syrians called him. The guy that uses child soldiers from Afghanistan to fight his wars in Syria and in Iraq. The guy that killed so many Sunni Arab civilians, that did the cleanse after defeating ISIS forces in many places. He did it. So when ISIS was defeated, they moved into villages and cities and did cleansing of Sunni civilians. He was on a peace mission. Are you sure with that, for that, Kyle? Are you sure you want to say that, Kyle? Is that really your narrative? Peace mission. Let's continue.
A peace mission.
Peace mission.
A peace mission. So listen, then that begs the question. Why did Trump do it? Why did Trump do it? Why did he do it? Well, I've been looking at this from every possible angle, trying to really get into his mind, however dark that is, to figure out why he did it. And there's 4 things that are possibilities. They could be any one of these things, or it could be a mix of all these things, or just some of these things. The first one is, and I'm not joking about this. You might say, "Wow, wow, what a reach that is! That this would be, a reason for him to do it, or cause enough for him to say, go ahead and do the strike." But the first thing is, these two were literally involved in a meme war on Instagram.
Oh no!
Soleimani was, unusually social media savvy, and he was going back and forth with Trump on social media, on Instagram. There was one where he had a picture of himself standing in front of the White House with the White House blowing up behind him. And, I think actually, remember when Trump did the Game of Thrones thing where he tweeted, like, sanctions are coming about Iran? That was in response to something Soleimani...
Yeah, so he's basically showing the threats
said.
Soleimani had against Americans. Does that sound like a guy that didn't want to kill Americans?
Because Soleimani said, tweeted something earlier in that day that pissed off Trump.
Look, look at this. Look at
because
this
Soleimani
meme that
said,
he's showing.
tweeted something earlier in that day that pissed...
So this meme was posted by Soleimani.
off Trump.
And look, the picture shows... wait, what is it? Irish Quds Force Qasem Soleimani, designated by U.S. is active on Instagram. Posts include image of White House exploding. Okay? So Qasem Soleimani is posting this picture of himself and White House exploding behind in the background. Does that sound like somebody that is not a terrorist to you? Like, oh, it's just the Sunnis that want to attack. Does this guy sound like he's on a peace mission when he posts a picture of himself with the White House exploding in the background? Does this guy sound like, okay, Saudis are surrendering to us? Peace! Finally, peace is here. I mean, you're showing it to us, Kyle. You're showing it to us. Peace mission. MEK propaganda is what he repeats. Are you sure, Avi, about that? I expose MEK as the terrorists that they are. Anyways, let's continue.
And, I mean, it's kind of crazy that this is the world we now live in, and we have, a pea-brained reality show.
Jay is saying all this new escalation was caused by the Trump violating the nuclear treaty. I agree with you, Jay, on that. Like, none of this would be happening if Trump just stood by the deal. That was a dumb, stupid decision. I mean, is immoral decision by Trump. Not stupid, because it works for his base, and that's all he cares about. He doesn't care about the American people. He doesn't care about what's best for the country. He just cares about himself. That's what Trump's care about. He wants to be reelected. He knows his base. He hates everything Obama did, so he wants to do the opposite. That's how Trump's mind works. Obama did it, so it must be bad. So and so it's not idiotic because it works with his base, but it's not the right thing to do. But I agree with Jay on this.
President who cannot stand getting personally slighted in the least, and this literally may play a role.
So look, Trump posted. Trump and Qasem Soleimani were in this meme war against each other, and they used like Game of Thrones themed memes against each other, which was funny when it was happening. And Kyle is trying to say like, oh, Trump might have killed Soleimani because they were memeing at each other, and Trump took that too personally. I mean, come on. You don't think it's not more relevant to the fact that the United States Embassy was attacked? You don't think that's more relevant to the killing of Qasem Soleimani, and Qasem Soleimani happened to be in Iraq at the best time for him to be killed right after the United States needed a response? You don't think it's more relevant to that? You don't think it's more relevant to the fact that Trump kept on attacking Hillary, the fact that, Hillary didn't defend United States Embassy in Libya, and he would never let that happen, and he would defend United States Embassy, blah, blah, blah. He would be strong against an embassy, blah, blah, all of that. And now there was an attack on embassy, and he doesn't want to go into an all-out war because that would hurt his re-election campaign and all that. And, people say it will help it. No, it wouldn't help it. Have you seen his base? This is not the average Republican base that, like, these are not the neocons that want war. His base is very non-interventionist. Okay? Look at his base when his base support him all the time, no matter what he does, except this. He could do anything, and his base was like, "Yay, Trump, we love you so much. You're our god. We worship you." Except this. Except if he goes to war with a foreign country. That's their red line. That seems to be their only red line. You saw his base turn on him when he attacked Syria, when he bombed Assad's, airbase. Some of his most loyal fans turned on him. He knows his base's red line. He doesn't want to go to war with Iran, at least not in his first term. I don't know what's going to happen in his second term. Because he wanted to get reelected. But he doesn't also want to look weak. Let me see what you guys say. Trump cares about re-election right now. That's what he cares about the most. He wants to seem like a winner. He doesn't want to look weak. He knows that he knows that he had to show a strong response to be like a big alpha man. Like, oh, I didn't let Iran get away with it. But he also doesn't want to escalate it so much that it goes into war, because it's basically like, what the hell are you doing? We elected you instead of Clinton because you said she's a warmonger, and you told us that you're not going to go to war. By the way, Trump is a hypocrite. Trump makes it sound to his base like, oh, I'm pulling out of Iraq. But like, you're not. You're adding to he's moving soldiers from Iraq, from one place in Iraq to another place in Iraq, and like, oh, I'm moving forces out. You just moved them from here to there. What are you talking about? He added to the number of people, the number of soldiers in Iraq, and his base are not following this. So when he says like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna pull out these forces," his base is like, "Yay!" But they don't. But even though they're not following it, but the fact is that if he actually goes to war, that's going to be hard to cover up. All right, he's basically like, "Wait a minute, what? We're going to war? That was not why we voted for you." Okay.
Soleimani was continuously involved in a meme war with Donald Trump online. And, just understand, man, the United States ripped up the Iran deal. They were following the deal to a T. I mean, that's what the IAEA says. That's not what Kyle Kulinski says. They were following it. They were abiding by it. They were not enriching uranium to the point of getting a nuclear weapon. And, we pulled out of the deal,
right,
ripped it up, slapped sanctions on them, including sanctions on medicine, and people in the country are, devastated about this, and it's hurting civilians. And then now, of course, you're going to have the U.S. media and the administration try to spin it as if somehow we're the victims.
No, you're not the victim. Okay, first of all, I agree with this uncle, okay? Pulling out of the Obama's deal with Iran, I mean, I have so many things against Obama, but on this, Obama, I think, was right. I know a lot of people disagree with me on that. I think the U.S.-Iran deal was a really good deal. And Trump really screwed everyone over with pulling out of the deal. Like, that was such a disaster. It's such a disaster. But it's not moronic. Because it's immoral. Because, again, Trump he talks like an idiot, but he's not an idiot. It works with his base. Obama did it. The base like, oh, I'm gonna do the opposite of Obama. This base loves it. His base loves it. So it works with his base. So it's just because it's bad for Americans and bad for Iranians and bad for the Iraqis and bad for everybody, that doesn't mean it's bad for Trump. It's good for Trump. It helps Trump, and it's immoral, but it's not stupid. It makes strategic sense. Unfortunately, what's good for Trump is not good for everyone else.
It really is stunning, but that's what they're in the midst of doing right now. So that's the first thing, is that they literally went back and forth. Now, Trump never directed this stuff at Soleimani, but the speculation is this guy was like very active.
By the way, the people in the live chat that are saying, "Oh, Americans do this, United States did this, United States is the evil one," do I sound like somebody that I'm defending United States foreign policy in the region? Just because I'm against Iran's foreign policy in the region, does that mean I'm for United States policy in the region? No, I'm not. I'm against United States policies in the region and Iran's foreign policy in the region. I'm against both. That's possible. It's not a contradiction. You can be against both. Imagine that. Imagine that. I'm against Iran's foreign policy in the region, and I'm against United States foreign policy in the region. They both should get out. They both should get out of there. You have no business in Iraq. You have no business in Iraq. Get the hell out of Iraq. Get the hell out of Syria. Get out of Lebanon. Let the people run their country. I mean, there's more nuances to that. Like maybe a lot of Iraqis will. We're gonna get into that. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. But generally, that's my position. That all of you have, even if you're there to say like, oh, we're gonna defeat ISIS. If we go home, ISIS will, come back, and Iraq is not ready to defend themselves against ISIS. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, but that's not what you're there for. That's not what you're there for. Okay, you're there for your own. You're both there for your own interests. United States, Iran, you're both there for your own goddamn interests. And by your interests, I don't mean your people. Okay, it's not in the interest of American civilians. It's not the base interest of Iranian civilians. I'm just talking about the military industry in the United States and some bunch of lobbyists. And I'm talking about IRGC in Iran, not the poor Iranian people, not the U.S. taxpayer. Everybody suffers. Okay, everybody suffers. I'm against both of them.
Soleimani on social media, and Trump definitely saw some of the prodding that this guy.
Wait, Smith thing, you said it was illegal but the right thing to do. I didn't say it was the right thing to do. I said it's more nuanced than it was the strategic thing to do, okay? It strategically makes sense, okay? So if your goal is to be reelected, it was the right thing to do, okay? But it's not the moral thing to do. So when I say right with what goal, okay? Right with the goal of helping the American civilians, helping the Iranian civilians, helping the Iraqi civilians. If that's your goal, no, it was not the right thing to do. If your goal is to be reelected, yeah, it was the right thing to do. It's not the moral thing to do. But I'm just saying it's a bit more nuanced than, oh, this guy, posted memes against me on Twitter and I just wanted to kill him. Not really. You're for or against it? Oh, I am for or against it? I'm for the United States getting the hell out of that place. I'm for that. There's no business staying there. That's what I'm for.
Guy did of him. Now, the second thing is, Trump had said back in 2011 that he thinks Obama's going to bomb Iran so that he gets reelected. Again, you really can't make this stuff up. But that's another theory, is that...
yeah, that makes more sense.
I'm still sick and the voices, I'm just barely getting better now. That's not fair. I am getting better, but I'm still a little bit sick.
Drink more water, sleep more.
It's possible Trump is doing the exact same thing that he accused Obama of doing. Like, oh, I'm going to bomb Iran because that'll help me get reelected. Now, you might go, well, hold on, that seems wildly unpopular. I think it will end up being unpopular, but you have to understand that history shows, as a general rule, when a country goes to war, the population falls in line behind the president. So that might be Trump's thinking. And that's not his thinking, because this base is different than Bush. History tells how many times that, like, how many examples you need of that to make it statistically significant, and it has to be the same conditions. Okay, Trump, when Trump is like listening, following Twitter and stuff, he's following his base. Okay, he knows Trump is a really good salesperson. And he listens to his audience. He knows his base. He's following them on social media, okay? He's following them on Fox News. He's following them on social media. He knows his base doesn't want war, okay? He's not going to go like, oh, Bush, when 9/11 happened, Bush did a war and he got reelected, so this is going to help with me. Bush's base was different than Trump's base. Trump knows his base. It's not a rule. You're saying like, oh, this is a general rule.
General rule, don't you need like at least 30 examples for something to be statistically significant for it to even be close to a rule? How many examples do you have for this to be a rule? You change the conditions, the rule goes away. And Trump has broken so many rules. There's so many things that are abnormal about Trump's presidency that you really think just because it worked for Bush is going to work for Trump? No! He saw what happened with his base when he attacked Assad's air base. Yeah, okay, Smithy thing, he listens to Tucker Carlson. Well, there you go. If he listens to Tucker Carlson, that's the most anti-war person I know on Fox News. Wait, what am I cooking? Okay.
Might be why he said about Obama, I think he's going to bomb Iran so that he can get reelected. Now, Trump messed up, though, I think, because you have to realize we were massively propagandized for such a long time frame before we ended up getting into Iraq. They did like a year propaganda campaign where, you know, they said he worked with Osama bin Laden, Saddam worked with Osama bin Laden, and Saddam has weapons of mass destruction. And they tried to argue that, oh no, you don't get it, he's going to attack us. Remember Colin Powell holding up the vial of, oh, we have, you know, Saddam has uranium, yellow cake, look. Like, they had to beat the war drums for like a year to raise public opinion for what they're about to do. Mm-hmm. So, yes, Bush had high approval ratings at the time. By the way, later on, obviously, everybody flipped on the Iraq war and was like, well, was insane. But at the time, he had a high approval rating. But that was after a massive amount of propaganda. Trump skipped the propaganda part. He went right to, we all woke up one day and went, oh my God. He just murdered an Iranian general. Are you insane? And then, by the way, he goes on to say, hilariously,
why is that insane?
Oh, I did this to prevent a war, not start a war.
Yes! Look, he's so shocked. Are you
the dumbest person on the planet?
No, Kyle, that makes sense. Okay, first of all, let me just give a disclaimer, okay? Because I'm so against Trump, okay? I think Trump is a war criminal, okay? So what I'm about to say, and what I'm going to make Trump sound a little bit smarter than he is and stuff, it's not because I think Trump is great, okay? Trump is a war criminal. Trump has funded and aided Saudi Arabia's war on Yemen, on civilians in Yemen. The bombs that Saudi Arabia drops on Yemeni people are American bombs. And what do they bomb? Do they bomb military bases only? No, they bomb mosques and ports and hospitals and schools. And Americans know that. Obama knew that. Trump knew that. And they said, hey, Saudi Arabia, here are the weapons. Now go kill some children. Okay? This is what they did. They sold weapons to Saudi. The biggest weapons deal in history by Trump. Bigger than Obama's. More than Obama's. Okay? Obama is a war criminal as well. But Trump is a bigger war criminal. Sold it to Saudi Arabia to be used against civilians. And if that wasn't enough, the planes that dropped the American bombs in Yemeni civilians were going to go, let's go kill children and attack the ports where people get their food and the drugs from, because we're going to use hunger and lack of medicine against civilians as a means of war. And these are American bombs that the Saudis are dropping on civilians, and the Americans sold this to us knowing what we're going to use it for. And guess what? Once we are out of fuel, we're going to go off of Yemen's soil and go over the sea, and we're going to have an American plane come fuel our Saudi planes, and then go back and drop some more bombs on these poor civilians. That's what Trump did, okay? The biggest military deal in history is responsible for, aided the greatest humanitarian crisis of our lifetime in Yemen. This is something that most people don't talk about, even though people are like, oh, the coronavirus, everybody's losing their mind, 100 people died, and look, how many civilians died in Yemen? How many people are starving? Hundreds of thousands of children are at the brink of starvation because starvation was used as a weapon of war by Saudis against Yemenis with the aid of Trump. Okay? So I'm not for Trump. I'm against Trump. He's a war criminal. He should be in prison. Okay? So what I'm about to say against Kyle right now is not because I like Trump. It's not because I'm going to defend Trump. It's because I think it's a bit more nuanced than what he's saying. Let me just see what Darko is saying. Maybe you should stop typing in the chat and start listening to Armin. But okay, yeah. Oh, thank you, Darko. All right, let's see what he's saying.
I mean that seriously. That's not a thing. Imagine for a second that Iran assassinated General Petraeus.
Okay, so sorry, I said all that anti-Trump stuff to get at this, because he's saying, like, are you stupid? How do you think killing Qasem Soleimani will stop a war? Well, because it was the most amount of aggression you could show as a response to an attack on your embassy without going to war. It's the taking out one person, it took out more than one person, but one top Iranian asset along with a whole bunch of other people that were not as big of a deal. Okay, let's say 6. How many people died in the attack? I think 6. Yeah, a couple of people. Less than 10 people in one attack might stop a war, because what do you want to do in response to an attack on U.S. embassy? Do nothing? Do nothing? Do you want the United States to do nothing in response to an attack on their embassy? Or would you want to do something bigger and cause an outright, a complete war? This was also a signal to the Iranians that, look, we're not going to let you get away with attacking our embassy, but guess what? We don't want war, just like you guys don't want war. Because this was the best excuse the United States had to go out to war with Iran. They would have never been, if Trump wanted an attack, a full-on military attack on Iran. He just got the best excuse he could have ever gotten. He would they attacked our embassy. If you wanted to go to war, this was it. This was the excuse. This was the moment. You would have never had a better excuse. You would have never had a better excuse. And you know what? I said that when the attack happened, and my theory was confirmed later on when Iran had a revenge attack. They both don't want war. Iran's Quds army and Iran's IRGC and Iran's Khamenei, he doesn't want war either, right? But they both want to look strong. They don't want to look pathetic. They took out our top general. They took out the second most important person in our country. Now Iran's like, we need to respond. But we don't want war either. How could we do that? So they did a military attack on United States base in Iraq. And they warned the Americans. They're like, get your troops out of there because we don't want to kill Americans. If we kill they do kill Americans, but they usually kill Americans with their proxies. Because they have this hidden understanding with each other that as long as it's not Iranians killing Americans, as long as it's Iranian proxies killing Americans, we're not going to go to war with each other, okay? Understood? Like, they understand. But now they wanted to show a revenge, and it had to come from Iran because you just took our top military official. But if they killed, if missiles coming out of Iran killed actual American soldiers, United States' hand would be forced into going into a full-out war with Iran. So what did they do? They warned the Americans, get your troops out of here. So we could also show a great revenge against you, show that we're tough, that we're not pathetic, but also not go to full-out war. And Americans pulled out their soldier. And then they attacked the bases, and Iranians came like, we showed the enemy, we're so strong too. Like, look, we got a revenge. Like, be happy, please, our base. Like, look, we are strong, okay? We're not pathetic. We showed the Americans who's boss here. And Trump had to go on Twitter, they had to be like, it was nothing. It was nothing. Why did Trump came on Twitter and said it was nothing? Everything is fine, right? Trump could have been like, they attacked our base. We should now show another revenge. Why was he so desperate to show that this was nothing? Because he wanted to say, look, we killed their general. No Americans died. Let's end it here. Because he doesn't want a war. Both sides doesn't want a war. This confirmed that both sides didn't want a war. And some Americans were hurt after. And Trump came out and said, oh, it was just a minor headache. This is like, it was actually a concussion. Like, some Americans were hurt. They weren't killed, but they were hurt. They're trying to downplay it. And people are like, oh, Trump is so... why is Trump acting like American soldiers being hurt is nothing? Well, because he was trying to avoid a war. He doesn't want to... He wants to be like, okay, let's stop the escalation. They both want to look strong and not go to war. That's what they both want. All right, let's continue.
And then they, held a press conference. And they were like, oh, no, you guys are misunderstanding. We murdered your general to stop a war, not start a war. We would say, oh, well, here's my finger, here's the red button, I'm pressing it. That is clearly, by definition, an act of war. So they're insane. But anyway.
No, Kyle. So you're calling people dumb for saying that killing Qasem Soleimani is not a de-escalation measure. It's definitely a de-escalation measure. Killing a bunch of people, like less than 10 people, to avoid going to a war is definitely a de-escalation method. You look strong, you took out such a major official person, and you didn't go to war. That is definitely a method of not going to war. And look, it works! It worked! All the Twitter was losing their mind. Oh my god, World War III is starting. It worked! War didn't start. It might start in the future. If you want to ask me how war could actually start. But so far, it worked. It de-escalated. So when Trump was like saying like, oh, we killed Qasem Soleimani so that we don't go to war, he was right. So who's the dumb person now, Kyle? Who's the dumb person now?
He could be doing it because he's doing the same thing he accused Obama of doing. He might think it's going to help his re-election chances.
Wrong.
And he also might think, hey, this distracts from impeachment. By the way, Bill Clinton did the exact same thing. Bill Clinton bombed what ended up being a pharmaceutical factory, I think in Africa, the Al-Shifa pharmaceutical factory, and he did it like during the height of his impeachment, and it kind of took the nation's attention off of the impeachment for a little bit, naturally, because it's insane to just bomb stuff like that. So that could be one of the things. Now, the third thing is,
let's see, this
and this is what a lot of the reporting is indicating behind the scenes, is that all those embassy protests that were going on in Iraq, that Trump saw this, Trump got mad about this,
right? And
Trump was like, okay, well, I'm going to show them.
Good, you're getting closer.
You can't just show up and do an embassy protest at an American embassy in Iraq. Now, remember the chain of events. So there was apparently, I should say allegedly, there's a U.S. contractor who was killed in, I believe, Iraq. And now they've released no information on this person. None. Nothing. Nothing at all. But this is what the government's claiming. Oh, there's a contractor, U.S. contractor, who was killed in Iraq. Then the Trump administration turned around and said, we're just going to go balls to the wall. And they started bombing Shia militias in Iraq and blaming them for this alleged attack that killed one American contractor. Now,
yeah, it's an attack by Shia groups against an American citizen. What do you want to do? It wasn't even a military person. What do you want to do? Like, yeah, just an American citizen died. Let's not take revenge. Let's just let them get away with it. Are you serious? Like, what kind of country are you that they attack your civilians? Civilians, and you don't respond? Obviously, you have to respond to that.
No evidence presented, no nothing. By the way, if I had to guess, whenever an American gets killed in these situations, my first guess is ISIS. It's either ISIS or Al-Qaeda or the Sunni fundamentalists.
What? How do you know? So you're saying they have no evidence. They're just saying this, and then you come up with a theory. Do you have evidence it was ISIS? That's just your guess? Well, how come it's okay for them to guess and not okay for you? I'm going to go with the guys that have the intelligence and all the know-how on the ground, okay? They're not just going to go randomly kill, Hash the Shabby or PMF group or whatever name they use. Like, they have a whole bunch of different proxy groups there. And just like, oh, let's just randomly go kill a bunch of Hash Shabby groups without any reason at all. Because it could have been ISIS, but we just randomly think it's Hash Shabby, so let's just go kill them.
I would not go bombing Shia fundamentalists, or not fundamentalists, Shia militias.
Come on,
who are
Kyle.
de facto on our side in this fight in the Middle East. But Trump decided, oh, I'm going to...
Okay, so here's the thing. I know I don't trust the American officials, what they're saying. They lie all the time. But you cannot just say, I'm guessing it's ISIS. What are you talking about? It might have been the Shia militia. The Shia militia groups are everywhere there. Even if you just want to go based probability-wise, ISIS is like a fraction of what it was in Iraq. Do you think if just, I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, you could be right, but if you just want to go by guessing, I'm going to go with Shia militias. If there's an attack on American in Iraq, who's more likely to do it? The people that are running the show everywhere right now? Or ISIS that is like nothing almost now?
Go nuts and bomb these Shia militias. So what happened? We ended up killing a couple dozen in the Shia militias. That's what then led to the embassy protests.
So here's the thing. I know that the American officials lie, but do you think that they just but they don't, do you think like the, U.S. forces in Iraq, they're just like sitting there like, oh, somebody killed an American civilian. So they have like no intelligence operation, there's nothing. And they're like, somebody is just like, oh, I just guess. I think it was the Shia militia groups. They're like, yeah, let's just go with that. Oh, okay, let's just go kill some Shia militia groups because we're just going to guess this, right? Even if they lie to Americans and the public, they're a lot more strategic than that, even with their lies. What do you think they don't? Do you think they don't know what's happening there? They know what's happening there. They're not just guessing who killed the American.
Where people showed up to the American embassy and they were protesting. They wanted the U.S. out of Iraq now. That seems to me like a pretty decent response. It's not over the top. It's not wild. Trump saw those protests, got extra pissed.
Oh my God. Okay, so Kyle is going to do this a couple of times in this video and the next video. He's going to keep saying that, oh, Iraqis protested and they wanted Americans out of Iraq. Yes. But are you also going to mention the Iraqis that want Americans to stay in Iraq? Are you going to mention the Iraqis that want Iranians out of Iraq? It's not like Iraqi. You see a protest you see a protest in Iraq. This is what Kyle does. He sees a protest in Iraq that goes with his narrative, and he highlights those, and he doesn't highlight the protest that goes against his narrative, right? The Iraqi people, just like the Iranian people, they don't agree with each other. They don't have a unanimous view. Like this AB is in the live chat, he's like, oh, Iraq and Iran are best friends. You know how many Iraqis are protesting against Iran in Iraq? You know that they burned down how many Iranian consulates in Iraq was burned down by Iraqi civilians as a protest against Iran to get out of Iraq? Oh yeah, they're best buddies, Iran and Iraq. You know how many protesters are asking for both? Okay, so you have some Iraqi people that want United States out of Iraq, and and maybe they want Iran to stay in Iraq, and those are usually the Iraqis that are Shias, that are also not just Shia, but Shias that are loyal to Velayat Faqih in Tehran. Okay, and then you have some Iraqis that don't want Americans out. They want Americans to stay and help them with ISIS, and they want Iran to get the hell out of Iraq, right? And then you have some Iraqis that want both Iran and United States to get out of Iraq, right? So you have some Iraqis that want United States out and Iran to stay. You have some Iraqis that want Iran to get out and United States to stay. And you have some Iraqis that want both of them to get the hell out. Usually the groups that want United States to stay and Iran to leave are Kurdish and Sunni. And usually the people that want Iran to stay and United States to leave are Shia. And usually the people that want both of them to get out are more the anti-sectarian secularist type. But the Kurds and Sunnis that want United States to stay, they are afraid of a Shia dominance if United States leaves. And they also think some other people that might want United States to stay that are not Sunni or Kurd are the people that think that they still need help with ISIS, and that Iraqi military is not yet capable of defending itself. Okay, but anybody that says that, oh, this is what Iraqi people do, look at this protest, or look at that protest. It's not that simple. It's more nuanced than that. They want different things. There are different protests. The protests are contradicting each other.
Pissed off, and then ordered the drone strike on General Soleimani.
Oh, we got super chat by Siva. Thank you, Siva. Siva is saying, just showing my support. Very much appreciate that. Thank you.
So that could be enough.
Wait, scream it. Yeah, saying, boo, Kyle is right. We need to get the hell out. Well, I'm saying that's something I agree with Kyle on. I think, I'm not saying we because I'm not American, I'm Canadian. But yeah, Americans should get the hell out.
Other reason, just mad at the embassy protest because, of course, he doesn't like anybody pushing back on him even 1%. And then the fourth option is a very simple one, which is neocon pressure and Trump, being convinced by those arguments now. You got to remember, his administration is packed full of neocons. I mean, everybody knows when John Bolton was there and he got a lot more attention, but we still have Mike Pompeo there who's just as hawkish as John Bolton is. We still have Gina Haspel there, and she's, again, one of the literal torturers from the Bush administration. So these are the people who are whispering in his ear every day. And, you catch him on the right day, and then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, go bomb Soleimani. Okay,
he's completely right in this. Okay, so even though Trump listens to his base and he doesn't want to go to war, he gets also very easily influenced by whoever he was spending the most time with, and he could change his mind on a day-to-day basis. And he's surrounded by neocons. It's good that John Bolton got out, so that now he is less likely to go to war because he's out. But both the Trump administration and the Iranian regime doesn't want to go to war. But both of these regimes are surrounded by people around the people that are making decisions that want to go to war, right? They have Iran's government is not just unanimous. They are competing interests in Iran's government as well. And they're competing interests around United States government. There are lobbyists. There are people that will make a lot of money if Iran and United States go to war. And they're always there, and they always have their networks. They always have their influence makers, and they have secret channels to talk to the people that they make promises to. And they oh my God, United States and Iran are getting so close to war. They both don't want to go to war. But if I just push this guy, now that we're so close to war, I could just make a little bit of a change here, a little bit of a mistake here, a little bit of this general here having a miscommunication over there. If just play their cards right, they just might push something in the right direction. They will make everything go into an alt-right war. So that's the danger. Even though both of these administrations don't want to go to war, they're surrounded by people that want to go to war, and they're just looking for the right moment to pull the light lever and to make the right move to just go out into an alt-right war, because there's so much money and other things to be made and political influence to be made in war, right? So just because the administrations don't want to go to war, that doesn't mean they're not going to go to war. They might go to war. Now it's going to looks less likely, but you don't know what's going to happen in the near future. But the reason why it's now less likely than before is because both the Iranian administration and United States have secretly signaled with each other, not secretly, but without actually saying it, have signaled to each other so heavily that, look, we don't want war, right? So they couldn't have made it even more obvious. So they both understand this from each other. So it's really hard to push for a war when they both understand that the other side doesn't want a war.
Probably no concern whatsoever about the consequences, the fallout, what this could lead to, what we're actually doing here. So, that could be it also. Now, it's so annoying to me, man, because it's the media should be educating you on this as well. They always talk about it like the U.S. is being defensive by definition. But that's not true. That's not true, and they've presented no evidence to show that. And you would think history in Iran is relevant to this conversation. Knowing that we overthrew their government, the CIA did, in 1953, because they elected a guy by the name of Mohammad Mossadegh who was going to nationalize Iranian oil and give the profits to the Iranian people. We said,
oh my, how many times are you going to bring that up, Kyle? Yes, Americans did a coup. They supported, they removed Mossadegh. It was a coup operation by the CIA. It's ancient history, Kyle. Like, it wasn't the same president. It wasn't the same Iranian government. It's not the same American government. How many times are you going to bring that up? You bring that up every time as if, like, it's an unforgivable sin. Yeah, that was nonsense. It was wrong. Americans shouldn't have done that. Okay? Yes, we know that. What has that got to do with today? Do you think, like, just because... Let me see what his conclusion is from this. He brings it up all the time. All the time. It was two different administrations.
said, no, you're not allowed to do that. We overthrew a democratically elected government, put the Shah into place, who was a dictator, and the Shah kept giving the U.S. and the UK cheap oil. So you would think that that history is relevant, that we've been super mad at the Iranian government since 1979. When the Shah was ousted, there was the Islamic Revolution. We've hated the Iranian government ever since then. Why? Because they were our puppet state and they stepped out of line. And now we want to make them a puppet state again. We have ever since 1979. And now there's enough bloodthirsty maniacs in the administration to try to make that happen. Now,
okay, that's fair. That's fair. I agree with that. Iran was a puppet state, and United States wishes that Iran was a puppet state. United States had 3 puppet states in the Middle East: Israel, Saudi Arabia, and Iran. Losing Iran was like a huge, devastating thing for the United States. They thought they thought the Khomeinis would be good, the mullahs would be good, but they regret making that decision. So they lost Iran, and they trying to get back. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. A U.S. foreign policy is about controlling other countries. It's about United States semi-empire in everywhere on the planet, and this is a now becoming a dying fight for the United States. The United States is losing its semi-empire everywhere because it's becoming, and China is going to be its replacement. That's a different discussion. But yeah, I agree with that. That this is the nature. This has always been, for not always, since World War II, has been United States. The nature of United States foreign policy, having control everywhere. And Iran stepped out of line, and that hasn't been good for the United States, and they would like it for Iran to step back into line. However, it could be argued that it's also good for the United States that Iran stepped out of line, because war sells, man. War sells weapons. War sells weapons. So if ISIS is not relevant anymore, is good for Iran to be a threat for people in the military industry. It's just good. It's good for Iran to be a threat, because every time Iran and United States get tensions go up, all the stock prices of all these military companies just goes up and just make more money. It's just good for them. I mean, just think about it. If they make so much money just because of tensions, when tension goes up, they just make so much money from, stock prices go up. How much more money they will make if they actually go to war, right? So you could argue both ways. You could argue that it would be that the people that are making the decisions in the United States wish that Iran was like still a puppet regime of the United States because of all the oil. Or you could argue that, no, this is also ideal, because if it's not a puppet state, if it's an enemy, it's a threat. And threats like, if you can't have ISIS was too radical for it to always be relevant. So it's good for something more permanent like Iran to be a threat always, because that just sells weapons.
This also, the idea is...
So it's like a competition between two lobbyists, the oil lobbyist or the military industry lobbyists, right? So if Iran, it was a puppet state, it would have probably been better for the oil lobbyists. If it's not a puppet state, it's better for the military lobbyists. Smith E is saying Kyle criticized Bernie Sanders' campaign a lot. Okay, well, that's not relevant to this.
Soleimani's killed, then what's Iran going to do in response? And then after Iran does something in response,
AB, are you like in Iran right now? I'm interested because you're like you seem like a heavy Islamic Republic of Iran apologist type. Anyways, let's
they have to. You just murdered their general.
Oh wait, let's see what Kyle just said. Actually,
and now we want to make them a puppet state again. We have ever since 1979, and now there's enough bloodthirsty maniacs in the administration to try to make that happen. Now, this also, the idea is Soleimani's killed, then what's Iran going to do in response? And then after Iran does something in response, because they have to, you just murdered their general.
Really, Kyle? Okay, so here's the thing. So Iran just has to respond now because you just killed their general. So why are you being a hypocrite, Kyle? Why is it that when they attacked a United States embassy, why didn't you say, well, Trump now has to respond because they just attacked our embassy? So why is it that it's okay for Iran to respond and they just have to respond when Americans kill their generals, but you don't have the same logic for Trump when they attack a U.S. embassy? Why don't you feel like the same? Why doesn't the same thing apply to Trump? Didn't you just hear somebody say like, "Oh, they have to respond because you just took out their general"? They attack American soil. You understand that a embassy is considered this part of the soil of that country? Do you understand when you attack an embassy, it's an attack on United States soil? There has never been this amount of escalation between the United States and Iran. There has never been this much of a direct attack on Americans by Iran for the past 30 years. Do you see your double standard?
Then that's it. That's all out war. Then we're in there, and we're in there. Perhaps even ground invasion type stuff. So, I mean, Trump...
You know what? I'm going to do the second video on another part 2 of this because this is getting too long. This is this next time I'm going to do this video of Kyle. But I'm just going to finish this one today. I'm going to do the next one maybe tomorrow.
Actively declared war by murdering their general. There's no doubt about it. That's an act of war. That's declaring a war. He didn't get legal approval, which is a problem in and of itself.
Wait, so...
He didn't get legal approval
Wait, let's see
in
what
response because they have to. You just murdered their general.
They just have to.
Then that's it. That's all out war. Then we're in there, and we're in there. Perhaps even ground invasion type stuff. So, I mean, Trump effectively declared war by murdering their general. There's no doubt.
So he declared war by murdering your general, but Iran didn't declare war by attacking the embassy. See the double standard here, guys?
About it, that's an act of war. That's declaring a war. He didn't get legal approval, which is a problem in and of itself, and a massive issue. It's unconstitutional. It's illegal. You can't do that. But he did that, and then Iran is going to have to respond, and then we are going to respond to their response. So this is it. We're watching it happen, guys. It's finally coming about. But so what could Iran do in response? Because that's the next question, which is a really, really important question. Well, listen, they have options, man. They have options. Are they going to, attack the United States of America? Like, are they going to bomb, like, Cleveland or something? No, they're not going to do that.
Yeah, because that's suicidal.
Because they don't really have the ability to do that. But also, the Ayatollah gave a speech and was saying very clearly, and Nasrallah, the head of Hezbollah, was giving a speech where he was like, we rule out, by any stretch of the imagination, attacking any American civilians. If we do anything, it's going to be against military sites. That's what they said. Which, by the way, is in stark contrast to Trump, who tweeted the other day, if you do anything in response to me murdering your general, I will attack 52 Iranian sites, including, quote, cultural sites.
Yeah, that was the dumbest tweet that Trump could have ever tweeted. And if you want to see my review of that tweet, just watch our podcast on this topic on the Secular Jihadist YouTube channel or podcast, Secular Jihadist. I'm not going to get into that right now. But just to let you know, if Nasrallah or the Iran's government says that we're not going to kill American citizens, it's not because they're nice people. It's not because they're not terrorists. It's not because they they care about American people. It's because it's suicidal. They're warning their people because here's the thing. it's not like they have a lot of control over their proxies in the Middle East and around the region. Okay, they do have a lot of, but they don't have absolute control. A lot of these proxy groups go out and they just do things that they listen to the Khamenei speeches, and like, oh, I think the supreme leader wants me to do this or that, right? Or I think Nasrallah or like Hezbollah leaders want me to do this and that, and they just look at the sermons and like, okay, I'm gonna go do this and that, right? Because that's what they said that they want us to do. They don't get a direct command. They're just understanding that this is the new narrative now. So these people, the Hezbollah and Iran and Hashtag and all these proxy groups and these Shia groups, they're not suicidal. They know if they kill Americans, civilians, they're gonna, they're just gonna be an all-right war, right? So they have to tell, like, hey guys, let's not kill American civilians. They have to give these speeches because they're not suicidal, okay? They're not suicidal. They know that if United States is forced to come in full out war with Iran and Hezbollah and Hashtag, they would be wiped out. They don't want to force United States' hands towards an alt-right war. So they want to be like, hey, don't kill American civilians. We don't want to go to war, right? So they have to put that out there so that some of these groups that have a little bit more autonomy, they look at Khamenei as this holy figure guy, like God's representative of on earth, or Nasrallah, or all these people. They see this as religious leaders. So it's not like a direct command, like, oh, go do this. It's often a lot of times like that, but a lot of times like you just have your own like little Shia militia groups, and you're just watching YouTube videos of Khamenei, and you're like, okay, great. This is what we're supposed to do now, and you just go do your own thing. So they have to put the narrative out there to make sure you don't go do something stupid that's going to get the whole country into trouble, right? That's their agenda. It's not because they care about civilians. They kill their own civilians, okay? If they care about them, you think they care about not killing American civilians when they kill Iranian civilians? They kill their own civilians when they step out of line, and you think they care about American civilians not dying?
So that's saying, I'll attack civilians. I don't care. Isn't that telling? Hezbollah and the Iranian government are literally open about the fact we will not attack civilians. We're more humane than that, moral than that. And the president of the United States is like, no, I will attack Iranian cultural sites. I'll attack 52 sites. There will be a, quote, disproportionate response. Back in the day.
Except he didn't kill civilians. He didn't actually kill Iranian civilians. He killed other civilians, which I blame him for. And Iranians actually did kill American civilians. So, you're going to go by what they say or by what they do?
The U.S. would hide the fact that, we would do a disproportionate response. Usually the idea is just do it tit for tat. Like, oh, proportional response, because we don't want this getting out of hand. Trump's like, no, I want this to get out of hand. It's already out of hand. He murdered a general. But what will they do? Listen, man, it was either the Houthis or Iran last time that bombed Saudi oil fields. Iran could easily just take out more of Saudi's oil fields. They could probably, coordinate an attack on all of Saudi's oil fields. But the Houthis have actually responded and said to Iran, basically, like, you guys fight your own battle on this one. In other words, we're not going to get, caught up in doing an attack for you, because then, of course, the Houthis will get the brunt of the reaction to that, and I guess they don't want to risk the mass casualties that could come about if they were to attack on behalf of Iran. But they have oil. They have options, man. They could jam up the world economy in 1,000 different ways. They could attack U.S. military sites. They could take hostages.
Yeah.
In, U.S. embassies in the region. They could kill...
Yeah, Iran could do a lot of things in the region, which would be not... So, United States has a lot of options other than an alt-right war to really hurt Iran. And Iran also has a lot of options because Iran doesn't want to go to an alt-right war with the United States because it would be suicidal. But there's a lot of ways the United States could really hurt American interests in the region without actually going to an alt-right war. And Iran is actually a master at that. Iran has because they know that they will be defeated in an outright combat, ground force attack with the United States, like that, they have no chance with that. But they know that they have to fight a different war. They have mastered the art of asymmetrical warfare. Iranian government knows how to do that very effectively, and they have done that effectively through their proxies, and they have been a major headache for the United States, Saudi Arabia, and Israel in the region. Let me see what somebody in live chat is asking. Why is the Iranian government more interested in waging proxy war to counter imperialism than it is the need in country? Well, because they're interested in their own imperialism, because they are interested in their own version of imperialism, which is the Shia imperialism around the region, more than they care about their own people. That's the truth.
Any U.S. prisoners they have. I guess they won't do that one because they said they're not going to go after civilians, but they have options, and they are going to respond. They are going to do something, and this is going to escalate even more. And the other concern about this is, guys, do you not understand that we're witnessing, like, the beginnings of the dividing lines when it comes to World War III? Now, some people say that's hyperbolic. You're just wrong if you think that's hyperbolic. It's not. It's not hyperbolic at all.
It is hyperbolic.
Why would everybody think, oh no, we'd never have another like World War? That's crazy. That's what they said after World War I. And then we had World War II. Hey guys, Hitler was around in your grandma's lifetime. That's not that long ago. Okay. What, you think we out...
Okay, Kyle, give us a scenario. How could this turn into World War III? How could this turn into World War III? When you guys, everybody came out and said, World War III is coming, oh my God. The whole world is going to go. World War III? How? How? It's just Iran. Iran against, even if Iran went to an outright war with the United States, which didn't happen, how is it going to turn into World War III? Which major world powers are going to start fighting with each other because of Iran? How? Give us a scenario, Kyle. World War III.
Grew everything since then? Of course not.
Give us a scenario.
So what would the dividing lines be?
All right, tell me.
It would be China, Russia, and Iran versus Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the U.S.
Really, Kyle? Really? You think China and Russia are going to devastate their entire economy, the entire world's economy, to go to war with United States to defend Iran? Why? Why would they do that, Kyle? Do you not understand? Oh, God. Come on, Kyle. You're smarter than this. I follow you. I know you're smarter than this. I know you're smarter than this. China would be devastated. China's and United States economy is like this right now. It's like this. You know why? They just talk tough against each other. They're never going to go to war with each other because there's so much trade. The economies are so intermingled. They would devastate their own economies if they go to war with each other. China and the United States go to war with each other over Iran? China will do some tough talk against the United States to defend Iran. Maybe use some trade policies here and there. Maybe they will do some cyber attacks against the United States. They're not going to go to war with the United States to defend Iran. Why would they care so much about Iran? I mean, they care about Iran a lot, but not so much to devastate their own entire world economy to start World War III to defend Iran. Are you serious, Kyle? I mean, come on. This is sad because you should know more about world economy and foreign policy and stuff to suggest something like this. Oh, you guys, damn it.
That's what it would be. Those are the dividing lines.
I didn't say war is not possible, guys, but this is not the way you get World War III. World War III, because of this is not like this is a step-by-step scenario he's giving. United States is going to attack Iran, and China is going to want to defend Iran. So what they're going to do is they're not going to do like a veto in United Nations and do some tough talk. No, they're going to start World War III and attack United States to defend Iran. Is that your scenario that you're giving me right now? Is that it? No, that's not going to happen.
Because obviously, Russia does not like the fact that their top ally in the region just had a general assassinated by the United States. By the way, so much for the Putin's puppet.
Yeah, okay, Russia doesn't like that. I agree. Russia would not like that. Russia is like, no, United States, you have no right to attack Iran. This is my ally. This is my buddies in the Middle East. This is my buddies that makes me relevant in the Middle East. It's Iran, okay? You have no right to do that. And, chest beating, tough talk. But you think Russia is going to go to war with the United States because to defend Iran? You think Russia has a chance against the United States to go to war with the United States? Why would they do that? Why would they do that? They would not do that.
Theory. Trump just assassinated a general to Russia's top ally in the region. It's Iran and Syria are their two top allies in the region. So Russia doesn't want this. China doesn't want this.
Yeah, they don't.
Iran doesn't want this. And we just massively escalated. And are they going to respond in kind? Well, we just got news a day after the assassination. Now, Russia...
Just because they don't want this, that doesn't mean they're going to go to World War III with the United States over it.
China and Iran announced, we're doing joint military exercises.
Oh, really? Okay, so here's the thing. He said, so we took Qasem Soleimani out. And you know what the Chinese and the Russians and the Iranians did? Look at how upset. Look at his reaction. They did joint military with each other. They did the joint military operation with each other. You think that's like a... Guess what, Kyle? They were doing that before the Qasem Soleimani attack. You're making it seem like this was a response to Qasem Soleimani. China and Russia, they're doing that with a whole bunch of other countries to show the United States that they're not the big guy. They're doing that everywhere. They're taking countries that are not friendly with the United States, and they're like, hey, let's get China and Russia and that country to do joint military exercises with each other, just to show that we are we don't need United States everywhere to be the world police. We could be the world police. China and Russia together with whoever is the most the anti-United States influential person in the region. They were doing that before the Qasem Soleimani attack. This was not in retaliation. Look at the timeline of how things are happening, Kyle. He's like, look, they killed Qasem Soleimani, and now Russia and China and Iran are doing joint military exercises. There you go, Trump. You're starting World War III. It was done before the Qasem Soleimani attack, Kyle. It was done before. So there goes your theory.
Joint military exercises, I believe, in the Navy.
Yes, I saw
that. So that's good.
I saw that before the attack, before the Qasem Soleimani attack.
Well, now we're at a position where we could have some sort of misunderstanding or some sort of run-in between our, U.S. ships and Russian ships on the seas. That's wonderful. Nothing could go wrong there.
Well, guess
what? We're playing with fire here, guys. Now, I'm still, after explaining all this so far, I'm still not done. Because there's a lot more to discuss here.
Oh, my God. Speak faster.
Trump responded to this by sending 3,500 more troops into Iraq.
Yeah.
What happened, dude? You're the, we got to get out of Iraq guy. That's what you said over and over in the 2016 campaign.
Yeah, I agree with Kyle. That's nonsense. I disagree with that. Trump is like, I'm the pull the troops out of Iraq guy, and he increased it. So I'm with you on this, Kyle. This is nonsense. I'm against this.
Since saying that, he's increased in Iraq, he's increased in Afghanistan, he's increased in Syria, he's increased drone strikes all throughout the region. What happened?
Yeah.
What happened, dude?
Fair point.
It's casually. Yeah, I'm just going to send 3,500 troops. By the way, he uses the authorization for use of military force from 2002 to justify killing an Iranian general. Which gets to the next point, which is, and I'm not kidding about this, Mike Pence is out there saying, one of the reasons we did this is Iran facilitated 9/11.
All right, so I if he did say that, that's absolute nonsense, okay? But let me just tell you something. I agree with Kyle on this, but at least I'm more consistent. I want to see, can you guys send me a video of Kyle calling out Iran's imperialist agenda in the region, and they're meddling in other countries in the region? Right? Kyle is like, why is the United States in Iraq and Lebanon and blah, 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 and Syria and just, well, not Lebanon, Syria and Iraq. But where is this video calling out Iran's government? This is why it seems like, you never actually say it. You don't defend Iran's government, and you say, yes, they're bad. And you always say, yeah, they're bad and they're evil, but But something. Can you actually call out Iran's like Shia imperialism in the region? Can you call it out? Can you be consistent with your anti-imperialism agenda? Meddling in other countries' politics. Be consistent with that. Call out the Iranian government as well. I do both. I call out the United States, and I call out Iran as well. Do one video on that. Do one video saying Qasem Soleimani had no right killing Sunni civilians in Iraq, in Syria, doing cleansing, doing mass genocide, using Afghani children to send that to wars that had nothing to do with their country. Child soldiers, come on, call it out. Call it out, just one video, so that at least we see that your standards are consistent. Because it just sounds that you are kind of like defending Qasem Soleimani. I know you don't actually do it, but it just seems like you're sympathetic to their agenda. Just do one video, and you don't have to ever do it again, so that we know, like, okay, you're at least consistent with you're consistent. You're not a hypocrite. What is this? Oh. Why are you quiet? Talk.
They're just insulting your intelligence at this point.
No,
they're saying like, okay, be a good little sheep and shut up and go away. Don't question the big boys. We're the big boys. We're taking care of it. Go do something else.
What?
They're not even trying, guys. They're arguing Iran facilitated 9/11.
Oh,
What is it, 15 or 16 of the 19
Did he actually
hijackers?
say that? If Pence actually said that, I agree with you, Kyle. That's the dumbest thing he could have ever said. But what does this headline say? Rolling Stone: Trump and Pence demand trust, then lie, blaming Soleimani for Benghazi and 9/11. Okay, if they blamed Soleimani for 9/11, then that's I don't know. But I don't know what the actual line of reasoning was, but it seems like idiotic.
Saudi Arabia, the ideology is Salafist in nature, which is fundamentalist Sunni, not Shia at all. In fact, we share a common enemy against ISIS with Iran.
Yeah, you share a common... Okay, so that's such a stupid line of reasoning. Yeah, you share a common enemy with Iran, which is ISIS. So what? You also share a common enemy with Al-Qaeda, which is ISIS. Does that mean what? What does that mean? You share a common enemy with Al-Qaeda. Are you defending Iran because you share a common enemy with them? You never actually say it, but you keep suggesting it. You keep suggesting it seems like a defense. You share a common... Why would you say that? You share a common enemy with Iran's government. Why would you say that? What's the point of saying that? It seems like you want to hint at them, like suggesting you're defending them in some way, as if they have any justification doing anything that they're doing in the region without actually coming out and saying it.
Because ISIS wants to do a genocide of the Shia Muslims. They don't even consider them Muslims.
Right, that's right.
They're trying to tell you as a justification, because Iran did 9/11, they're arguing like Soleimani was somehow involved. That's utterly made up.
Yeah.
By the way, there's another talking point going around where they say, oh, Soleimani is responsible for killing Americans. No evidence for that either at all.
What are you talking about? No evidence for that. Have you seen what the Shia militia's done for the past 30 years in the region? Who is in charge of that? Who is in charge of that? It's Soleimani. Soleimani was in charge of that. The American soldiers dying by Shia militias in Syria and Iraq, in Lebanon, in everywhere else. Who's in charge of all that? It's Soleimani. What do you mean no evidence? Have you not seen the history of what the militias, what the terrorist Shia groups have done in the region? And why is it that you only care about the Americans dying? Why didn't you care about the higher number of Sunni civilians that have been dying? Wait, let me see. Dark is saying, sure, and the protests in Iran are also organized by...
At all. They just say that. They just throw that out there. And I guess what they're trying to argue is, well, during the height of the Iraq War, in the Bush years, we were also fighting Shia, not just the Sunnis, and so maybe some of them were trained by Soleimani, so yeah, he's responsible for American deaths. Again, they present no evidence, and the one story that they try to use has been debunked.
What are you talking
So
about?
if I'm being as kind to them as humanly possible, they're saying,
Debunked?
hey, maybe he trained some people who, during the height of the Iraq War, were some of the Shias who were fighting Americans.
Maybe they brag about this. What are you talking about? You want evidence? They tell it. They say it. They brag about it. The Shia militias say like, yeah, Iran funds us. They're not hiding it. They're not hiding it. They're like, yeah, it's Iran. We get our money from Iran. We got our training from Iran. Iran admits this. They're like, yeah, we have proxies in everywhere, here or there. The president denies it, but then the IRGC admits it. They're like, yeah, these are our guys. We train them. We give them military equipment. We give them money. They have this understanding with the United States that, hey, if we kill your guys, if it's not American citizens, if it's not Iranian citizens killing Americans, we're not gonna go to war, okay? Okay, wink, wink, nod, nod. And Americans are like, okay, and we'll kill your proxies, and if we kill your proxies, we're not gonna go to war, right? Okay, wink, wink, nod, nod. Like, and the Iranians are like, yeah, okay. You kill our proxies, and we use our proxies to kill you guys, and we're not going to go to all war. So the red line that they're not crossing is Iranian citizens are not killing American citizens. That's apparently the red line that we agree on. They agree on not to go to full war, without actually saying it. But that doesn't mean Iran is not doing it. It's Iran doing it. From all the terrorist attacks that have been done by Iran's government, a small minority of it has been done by Iranian citizens. Do you think that's not Iranians meddling? Do you think Hashd Shabi is not an Iranian proxy? Do you think Hezbollah is not an Iranian proxy? Do you think the Fatimiyun in Afghanistan is not an Iranian proxy? They say we are. They say when IRGC goes and gives a speech, they have the Hamas flag behind them. In Iran, they're giving a speech. They have a Hamas flag behind them. They have a Hezbollah flag behind them. They have a Fatimiyun flag behind them. They have the Kataib Hezbollah flag behind them. They're not even hiding it. It's right there. They're like, yeah, these are our guys. The Hamas is not even Shia. And they're like, yeah, those are our guys as well. Because it's interesting, because when it comes to, that's another story. But Iran has many different narratives. They have the nationalist narrative, they have the Shia imperialism narrative, but they also have a narrative for the whole Islamic world, which is the Palestinian narrative. They're very clever with the narrative. They have different tools to use for different ideological battle. This is why Iran is great at the asymmetrical warfare. Because if you want to fight an asymmetrical war, you need networks and people on the ground. You cannot just win wars with tanks and air force and all the ships and atomic bombs. That's what the United States has. Iran has networks and people and allies, and to get those networks, you need ideology. You need a strong brainwashing technique and like mass indoctrinations of people and people that would die for you. That's what you need. United States doesn't have that, and that's why they don't have the the networks that Iran has. So Iran could do a lot of all that sneakery stuff around the region that United States tried to do, and tried to have its own loyal forces with spending so much money on people that would be loyal to United States in the region. It didn't work. It didn't work because you don't have the ideology that you had that against the communists, because it was like communists against capitalism and the American way, and the Western people looked at communism and it looked like all gray and poor, and it looked like Americans that were all singing and McDonald's and all that, and like, well, I want some of that Western stuff, I don't want this communist stuff. So you had the ideological stuff, and that's why when you were waging war against the communists, you won that, because you understood that it was not just a military might, it was also an ideological fight that you had to win. And you won that because people picked you over the communists. But now you don't have that anymore. Now Iran has the ideological weapon, and you only have military might. You don't have you could have the new ideological fight that the United States could have picked to win against, to be like, oh, this is now our ideology now, was the human rights ideology. But you ruined that. You ruined that by supporting Saudi Arabia. You could have been like, oh, we're the defender of human rights. We're gonna We're going to defend human rights everywhere and everywhere in the region. That's now, we used to be capitalism, now is this. This is going to be our flag that we're going to have to get people on our side. You didn't do, you can't win. You may pretend that now. It's not going to work. It's not going to work because you facilitate, you give weapons to dictators and you support mass genocide of people by selling weapons to them. Okay? So, yeah, you don't have ideological any ideology behind you. Iran's gonna win that anyway. So let's continue.
But they're stretching it. Oh, they're reaching so much. Yes, this top Iranian general is somehow a terrorist mastermind, even though he just defeated ISIS. He was one of the key reasons that ISIS was defeated, and he was on a peace mission when he was assassinated.
God damn it, Kyle! God damn it, Kyle! Listen to that again. Listen to what he says.
Mastermind, even though he just...
Listen to what he said. Does that not sound like he's defending Qasem Soleimani? Does that not sound like he's defending a terrorist? Look at what he's saying.
They're saying, hey, maybe he trained some people who, during the height of the Iraq War, were some of the Shias who were fighting Americans. But they're stretching it. Oh, they're reaching so much. Yes, this top Iranian general is somehow a terrorist mastermind, even though he just defeated ISIS. He was one of the key reasons that ISIS was defeated, and he...
So he's not a terrorist because he attacks ISIS? So he's like, oh, this mass terrorist mastermind. He's not... So you think he's not a mass terrorist mastermind? Do you know that they call him the child killer in Syria? Do you know what he did in Syria? Do you know what he did in Afghanistan? Do you know what he did in Iraq? They admit this. They admit this now. They came out now with they're saying it themselves. They're saying themselves. They don't hide this. They're saying the fact that they were in Syria before ISIS was a thing to kill the civilians that were uprising against Assad. They are openly saying that themselves. It's on their record. They're not even hiding it. You're saying he's not a terrorist because he was attacking ISIS? So by that logic, Kyle, does that make Al-Qaeda also not a terrorist? Al-Qaeda also attacks ISIS. So if Soleimani was not a terrorist because he attacks ISIS, does that mean Al-Qaeda is not a terrorist because they attack ISIS? Are you serious, Kyle? Are you... Kyle, you're saying he's not a terrorist? Are you serious? God damn it, Kyle.
He was on a peace mission when he was assassinated.
Peace mission, I'm not going to swear because YouTube gods don't like me swearing.
The United States on this issue are the terrorists. The Trump administration are the terrorists when it comes to this action. No question about it.
And Americans are not a terrorist on this action. They're terrorists because of the things that they did in Yemen.
So increasing troop levels, Trump's doing. Mike Pence is blaming Iran for 9/11. And then, ready? Here's the cherry on top for this story. You guys are going to love this. So one of the things that Iran did in response is they've already announced we're not going to abide by the centrifuge rules in the nuclear agreement. Mm-hmm. Now, you have to say that's already kind of crazy on their part because what they're saying is it's not that we're not going to abide by the entire deal. We're going to abide by certain parts of the nuclear agreement that we have because Europe's still honoring it, and so we'll still honor parts of it. This is what they're saying. But we're not going to honor the centrifuge part. So, in other words, we're going to violate part of the Iranian nuclear agreement. Now, by the way, hilarious, the U.S. pulled out of that deal, ripped it up, put sanctions on them, including on medicine. They're illegal, even according to the International Criminal Court. And then, God forbid, when Iran says, okay, we're not going to abide by the deal, certain parts of the deal, now you have no idea the chain of events because in U.S. media and in the Trump administration, they're like, oh my God, how could they? Look, see, violating the deal. You pulled out of it. You ripped it up. You sanctioned medicine. Are you kidding me? You broke the deal.
And this I agree with Kyle, okay? United States pulled out of the deal, pulled out of the Obama deal. That caused all this escalation would have completely been avoided if the United States didn't pull out of that deal.
Broke the deal first, way early on. Are you kidding me?
You know, ABs keep calling me names. Oh, shameful clown. He hates his hateful, self-hating Iranian. I love it when you guys do this, okay? I love it. Keep doing that. It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful when people just want to, like, attack you personally. He's like, you have completely been defeated if that's what your line is. If personal attacks is what you have, it just seems to me like you're just so. I must have been hitting a nerve somehow. Like, you just keep doing it. It's just funny. Keep doing that. Keep attacking me personally.
But see, that's the thing. And Iran's response is, oh, no, we're going to still abide by some of the parts of the deal, but the centrifuge part, we're not. If I'm the head of Iran, are you kidding me? I would be insane not to say, no, we're not going to abide by any parts of the deal.
No, why would they be insane? They're not gonna, they're not pulling out of the deal completely. Because they're still hoping that Europe might play nice with them. By the way, Iran's government is just not a unanimous thing. There's competing elements there. There are some elements there that want to completely pull out of the deal. Some people that want to completely go back to the original deal. Some people in the middle, like, let's pull out a little bit out of the deal. And it's not they're not being nice. There's more complicated than this. These elements within the Iran government, they're fighting with each other. It's not a unanimous thing there. They're just fighting with each other, and whoever gets more, like, whoever wins one side will get a little bit of, something that happens is because this part of Iranian government won against that part of Iran's government. Let me see what Salim is saying. Okay, let me just continue with the video so we can finish this.
Because a nuclear weapon, and this is, again, a politically incorrect truth, is a deterrent to U.S. aggression. There's a reason why a North Korean general wasn't murdered and an Iranian general was. North Korea has nukes.
Yeah,
Iran does not.
I agree with that.
So, there's a reason why they're not attacking North Korea. They can respond in a very, very aggressive way.
Yeah, this is a really bad signaling from the United States, right? Libya got rid of its weapons, and look where Libya is. We got rid of Gaddafi. North Korea didn't get rid of its weapon, and we're like we can't do anything. We have to listen to whatever they say, and we're like begging them to talk to us. I mean, this is really bad U.S. policy. It's just signaling like, hey, if we tell you to get rid of your weapons, don't, because don't listen to us, because look what we did, right? So it's real. Yeah, I agree with Kyle. This is really bad signaling from it's a problem with U.S. foreign policy is because one president changes and all the policies change. So you really don't, when you're dealing as a foreign country, if you're dealing with the United States, you're really going to question the consistency of whoever you're dealing with, because this president might do a deal with you and the next president might just throw it out the window. So it's really hard. Like, United States used to be a major source of influence, and now they're shooting themselves in the foot based on this. They're going to lose influence. They're just conceding to China. China is going to be like, look, we're consistent. We're going to, if we come and support you, we're going to be there no matter what, because our dictators are not going to be changed in the next election. Darko, oh, thank you, Darko. Darko gave me a euro super chat. Thank you, Darko. Was saying, keep hitting those nerves, Armin. I will, Darko. Thank you for that.
So a nuke is a deterrent to U.S. aggression. That's just the truth. They'd be insane to not want to get nukes at this point, given what the U.S. just did to their top general. Are you kidding me?
Well, the thing is that, unfortunately for them, Khamenei came out and said that, gave out a fatwa that said nuclear weapons are un-Islamic. So he kind of shoot himself in the foot now, because he can't take his word back from that. Khamenei, the supreme religious leader, said that nuclear weapons are un-Islamic. So they kind of tied their own hands behind their back, because God's representative on earth, according to Vilayat Faqih people, said that nuclear weapons are un-Islamic. So how are you going to get nuclear weapons, Lord? Did the God's representative on earth make a mistake? So they can't. Like, it's hard for them to justify now getting a nuclear weapon.
So that's one of the things that Iran did. Now, there's going to be more of a response, of course. There has to be. We just murdered their top general.
Of course, They're justified. They're justified to react to United States aggression. But the United States is not justified to respond to Iran's aggression. Makes perfect sense.
have to do something. They have to. They
They
have no
have to.
option.
They have no choice.
But in Iraq, the parliament just voted the U.S. out.
Oh,
They said,
did
no,
they?
No more. No status of forces agreement. You're not going to stay here. You're not
Really?
going to linger around. Get out, get out, get out.
Okay, look at this. Let me see his conclusion before I destroy this argument. So he's saying like, oh, the parliament came and they voted to get the United States out. And I actually predicted this before it happened. I was like, you know what? Iran has such a great card to play right now, right? All they have to do is now get their Iraqi parliament to vote and be like, United States, get your troops out, right? Because you just killed. Because when United States attacked Soleimani, he didn't just kill only Soleimani. He was with a bunch of people. Who was he with? With a bunch of Iraqi citizens. Iraqi citizens that were part of the official. Yeah, they're Iranian proxies, but Iranian proxies are officially recognized by Iraqi government as part of their military. So United States just took out a bunch of people that were officially recognized as part of Iraqi military. This is the best excuse for Iran to use its influence in the parliament, which is almost absolute, because Iraqi government is now a puppet of Iran. And every time people said we're exaggerating that, more evidence came out to show that we were right. And if you want me to go to details on that, you could watch the Secular Jihadist podcast on this topic. And just search for Secular Jihadist Qasem Soleimani, will show up. But Iraqi government is a puppet of Iran. And I predicted, like, just now Iran could use this and go have a vote and say, like, hey, like, United States, please leave. And this would be such a major win for Iran. It would be a win for Iran, and Iran could be like, look, the United States just shot itself in the foot without us having to do a military attack. We have the excuse to take them out. The problem with that response is that the current government in Iraq is a caretaker government because they resigned because of all the protests in Iraq. So their vote doesn't officially count until they have a new government elected and all that. It's going to take a whole bunch of years for them to officially be able to do that. And another thing is the vote that was done, guess what? It was only the Shias showing up. Only the Shia members of the parliament showed up to vote. This shows how sectarian this is. The Kurds and the Sunnis, part of the government, didn't show up. They protested this vote because it shows why would the Shias only show up? Why would only the Shias, members of the parliament of Iraq, show up and say like, hey, United States, get the hell out? Because everything is so sectarian. It shows that the Shias are part of Iran's interests. The Shia members of the parliament are like they're puppets of Iran. Why would the Sunnis and the Kurds not go there and vote United States out? Because they want United States to stay. Because they're scared of the Shias without the United States there. They're like, they don't want United States to leave. This is not a unanimous thing. Kyle makes it seem like, well, Iraqis don't want United States there. What about the Sunnis and the Kurds? What about that? Why are the members of the parliament, why did they not vote? People are like, oh, it was a unanimous vote. It was a unanimous vote to get the United States out of Iraq after the attack on the Qasem Soleimani. Was it a unanimous vote? Or was it only a unanimous vote because the Kurds and Sunnis didn't show up? Because they don't want to vote United States out? Huh? Did you forget to mention that part, Kyle? Did you forget to mention that, pal? Did you forget to mention that this is not a unanimous vote? Did you forget to mention that this is not a simple thing that, oh, the Iraqis want Americans out? I want Americans out. All right, but that doesn't mean that all Iraqis want Americans out.
Because again, also on top of the Iranian general being murdered, also, a popular Iraqi military leader was murdered as well.
Yeah, right.
So
Mohandas.
They're of course flipping out and they're like, get out. We don't want you in our country anymore. So what was Trump's response? Now, mind you, again, this is the guy who campaigned.
Well, they said get out, but they technically can't say get out because the government that said, hey, Americans, please, here's an invitation. Here's your permission. Come help us. ISIS is destroying us. We can't defend ourselves. Please Please come back. We kicked you out when Obama was in power, but now we need help. We need help. Please, please, please help us. Right? We kicked you out, but we need your help again. I'll kick you out again, and we beg you to come back in again. Yo-yo policies. But when last time they say, like, come help us, here's the permission, come save our asses. But when we did that, we were officially a recognized government, okay? And now we can't do that because we're what is it called? Caretakers government? I don't know the English version of it. But they're not, so they can't really kick you out yet until they actually have the next elections. So this vote doesn't really count, especially given that a lot of people didn't even show up, especially how sectarian it is. Think how predictable it is that the Shias are going to vote aligned with Iran's interests and the Sunnis and Kurds are not voting aligned with Iran's interests. It shows how sectarian everything is there.
On getting out of Iraq. What did he say? He goes, okay, no, now we're staying indefinitely. So because I said let's get out, then Iraq goes, okay, we want you out also. We just voted it. It was a unanimous vote. It was like 170-0 or something like that.
0 because the Kurds and Sunnis weren't there. It wasn't a unanimous vote. Make sure you check the details, Kyle, before you say something.
And Trump goes, wrong. Now I'm staying there indefinitely. And, oh, if you want us to go, you have to pay us for the military base we have there. Imagine illegally invading a country.
Illegally invading a country. Okay, you're talking about what Bush did or about Trump, what Trump and Obama did? Because both Trump and Obama were in Iraq at their request. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm not defending it. I think they should get the hell out. But it's not like, hey, it's not like they were there illegally in a way that just because something is not illegal doesn't mean it's right, okay? It wasn't illegal. I mean, what Bush did was illegal, but what Trump and Obama are there with the government's permission, okay? So it's not right, but it's with their permission. They're there with the Iraqi government's permission. With their permission.
Illegally occupying that country.
It's not occupying. What? You're not illegally occupying a country if that country is begging you to stay there to defend them against ISIS.
Wantonly violating its territorial sovereignty, massacring civilians there, and then demanding a ransom to leave.
Why don't you say that about the Iranians there? Why don't you tell that to the Iranians that are massacring civilians at a much higher rate than the Americans are doing? Okay, I'm not, okay, so you might say like, Armin, that's whataboutism. It's whataboutism if you excuse one of them because of the wrong of the other one. It's not whataboutism if you call them both out at the same time. You understand what whataboutism works. What Kyle is doing is whataboutism. We say like, oh, look at Iran. He said like, no, don't look at Iran, look at the United States. That's whataboutism. When somebody does something wrong and you justify it by pointing out at somebody else doing wrong. That's whataboutism. If I call out both Iran and the United States, that's not whataboutism because you're not justifying either one. You're saying they're both wrong. That's being consistent. Somebody in live chat is saying Iraq doesn't want us there. Really? Iraq is just one unanimous agreeing nation? All Iraqis all agree that they don't want United States there? Are you sure about that? Do you speak on behalf of all of Iraqi people? I don't want United States in Iraq. But don't say Iraq doesn't want us there. Iraq wants different things. Iraqi people don't agree with each other on everything. Some Iraqi people want Americans to stay there. Some Iraqi people want Americans to get the hell out. That's not that complicated. Not everything is so black and white. It's not that simple. It's not like Iraqis want this. Iraqis don't want the same thing. Oh, I got a super chat. Thank you. The critical something. Okay. Saying super chat $2, thank you, saying let's discuss the Iraq war sometime, Armin. Cheers. Yes, I would love to do that. Which Iraq war? The United States Iraq war or the Iran Iraq war? I would like to do both, but let's continue.
Because that's what the United States of America just did. And right before I came on here to do the show, Trump was tweeting, all caps, Iran will never get a nuclear weapon. And he's been nonstop now, every day, tweeting, getting more and more aggressive, more and more unhinged towards Iran, because God forbid Iran is responding and going, we obviously can't just let a murder of one of our generals stand. That's not a thing.
So the person in live chat is saying they voted for U.S. to leave. They talk for themselves. It's not my opinion. It's the opinion of the government. It's not the opinion of all their government. It's the opinion of the part of the government that is a puppet of the Shias in Tehran. It's a puppet of Iran part of the government. It's a part of the. It's also the government that the Iraqi people have been protesting against for the past month or so. In the streets, telling them that this government doesn't represent us. So the government arguably does not represent the people. This government doesn't even represent the entire government, because the Kurds and the Sunnis didn't vote. The part of the government that has voted the United States out is the part of the government that is loyal to Iran. So it was technically Iran voting, not the Iraqi people voting. Not even the Iranian people. It's the Iranian government's proxies in the Iraqi government voting for the United States to be out. Yeah, that special group, that interest group, yeah, voted the United States out. Don't say Iraq voted. This is not the voice of the Iraqi people as a whole. Just be more precise about which part of Iraq voted the United States out. Okay, the Shias loyal to Iran, yes, they voted United States out. They always wanted United States out, because Iran wants United States out.
And here we are.
Oh, Salim is saying something right. Salim in the live chat is saying, in Iraq, the Sunnis, Kurds, and other minorities would not feel safe under the Iran-backed Shia regime if everybody abandoned Iraq. That is correct, Salim. And that's why it's hard for me to say that I defend the United States getting out, because it would come at a major cost to the minorities in Iraq. Because when the United States gets out, Iraq will become Iran's. Completely, it will become Iran's. Then Iran will move in and be like, "This is our backyard now. Thank you for the gift, United States. Thank you for removing Saddam, and now thank you for completely getting out. This is ours now, and we will control the government instead of representing the civilians in Iraq." So even though I know that, I still support the United States getting out, because the cost of them staying in is more than the cost of them staying out. Unfortunately, this is the disaster that the United States has created, and they just have to rip the Band-Aid. It's going to hurt a lot. Damn if you stay, damn if you leave. There are consequences to both, and there are huge consequences to both. But unfortunately, the consequences of staying, because if you're just going to stay because what? Because if you leave, there's going to be massacre happening and all that. Well, then you have to stay there forever. And you staying in Iraq is going to cause a lot of problems that now you're going to have to stay other places, because if you leave there, it's going to cause other problems as well. So how long is this going to continue? Like, you're going to just stay there forever then? like it's the cost of leaving is high. The cost of staying is high. The cost of staying is higher, in my opinion. I might be wrong.
We're in hell. If I told you everything I just told you, if this was in a movie, you'd be like, that's too unrealistic. Because the U.S. is acting too much like the cartoon villain here. But that's what's happening.
My God.
I'm going to repeat this. Illegal under U.S. law, illegal under international law, unconstitutional, because he didn't get a declaration of war. Trump tweeted yesterday.
It wasn't. You don't need the. Okay, so if you actually understand what the president, it wasn't an alt-right war, so you didn't need the approval of Congress. I mean, that's arguable, but it's not that simple. You took out one person that was officially recognized as a terrorist. He was recognized and accepted as a terrorist by the Congress. That is not a full-on going to war with the country. So technically, you could argue that a president did not need Congress's approval for that. That's arguable, but it's not as simple as Kyle making it seem
consider this my like declaration of war. I'm letting Congress know that this is what I'm going to do.
It's technically not a declaration of war. It was technically signaling to Iran that we don't want war because we took out, instead of going to full-out war with you, we just took out one of your most important assets. Technically telling Iran, like, look, we could hurt you. Just like you could hurt us bad without actually going to war with us, we have also ways of really hurting you without actually going to war with you.
Now, there has never been a more important time for full-throated opposition across the board, not just on procedural grounds, which unfortunately is way too common. Soleimani was a very bad man, and so we agree on that. But if you want to do this, you better get approval and fill out the right paperwork. No. If you just resist on procedural grounds, you're so massively ineffectual and moronic that I weep over that. Because we need strong resistance to this, strong opposition to this. And thankfully, there are multiple bills now being put out there, Ro Khanna inspired, among others, that are saying, Congress is saying, no, we're like quite literally not approving any war with Iran, and, you know, we're blocking funding, basically.
I support that. All right, I'm going to...
Guys,
I'm just going to say something here. I want to know what would somebody like Kyle or people that were against attacking of Qasem Soleimani, what would they do as a president in response to Iran attacking their embassy? Like, what do they think would have been, if they were in a position of power and they wanted to respond to Iran's attack on their embassy, what would they suggest? I want to see if they could come up with something better. Something that will not cause a war. You have to come up with a really good option that really hurts Iran, that shows Iran, like, look, you attacked the embassy and we did something that really hurts. Stings a bit, doesn't it? But give me some other alternatives other than killing Qasem Soleimani. I want to know.
A door was just opened that people do not really grasp what just happened. They don't. People don't get it.
What door?
They don't get what just happened.
Tell me what happened. Tell me.
No good can come from this.
Really? How about
no good at all?
No good. How about
and
avoiding
if any
a
other
war?
country
How about the fact that we didn't go to war because of this? How about the fact that there's no World War III didn't happen, as everybody on the internet was screaming about? How about that? No good could come out of this. How about taking out the guy that is responsible for masterminding the killing of a lot of civilians and really being able to, show whoever the next leader is that, you know what, maybe don't do that, right? You can, if you're, do you not think that Kyle shows all the people that come out against the killing of Qasem Soleimani, which is good, show that. But he doesn't show you all the people in Iran, in Lebanon, in Iraq, in Yemen, in Afghanistan that were dancing and singing and celebrating for the killing of this child murderer. Why didn't you show a little bit of that, Kyle? Show it just to balance it out.
The way that the United States of America is acting right now, the entire international community would say you're a rogue regime, you're a criminal regime, and there needs to be justice. People need to go to prison. But we get away with it, and we just say, no, it's what we do. It's what we do. So
see, this is classic whataboutism. Iran does things, and Kyle's like, don't look over there. Look at the United States. I don't do whataboutism, because I say, look at both of them. Look at the evils of both of them. Don't be like, don't look at this, look at the U.S. Just the U.S. Look at the U.S. Look at the U.S. Both of them. Look at both of them.
Be afraid. I wish I could give you some, calming words here at
don't
the end. I have none. Be afraid. Be very
calm
afraid.
Down. Don't.
This is not a thing. Random targeted assassinations of top generals of other countries when they're on a peace mission and right after they defeated ISIS is not a thing.
Is that not a defense of Qasem Soleimani? when they attack ISIS and on a peace mission. Does that not sound like Kyle is defending Qasem Soleimani? As if like he's a hero or something? Does that not sound like that to you guys? When there's on a peace mission. Really? Qasem Soleimani on a peace mission? Do you know anything about Qasem Soleimani that we would say that? Do you know how many mothers are crying over their children that this guy sent to war to fight his battles? Do you know how many villages were wiped out because they were Sunni, because they were accused of being ISIS sympathizers just because they were Sunni? On a peace mission? This guy would never stop waging war until... Well, never actually. I was going to say until they had Iran's flag on Jerusalem and maybe even over the White House, but no. After that, they were like, hey, we're going to have to take the whole world. Like, they would never stop. Just because Saudi Arabia was like, please don't hurt us. You guys are too powerful. And they were like, okay, come kiss the ring. Recognize who's the power in the region. You call it a peace mission? Just because they were doing that? You think it was this guy wants peace? This guy whose career was war. Everything he does is about more war. Peace mission? Kyle? He fights ISIS. You know why he fights ISIS? You think he fights ISIS because they're terrorists? No, he fights ISIS because they're Sunni. That's why he also fights other Sunnis who are not terrorists. That's why he also fights, because that's why he doesn't fight terrorists who are Shia. It's not because ISIS is a terrorist group. It's because ISIS is a militia group that is Sunni. They're not aligned with them. That's why they fight ISIS. They don't have a problem with terrorism when it's Shia terrorism. God damn it, Kyle. I like you, Kyle. Don't do this.
That makes you the bad guy if you do that.
No.
No,
it makes you both the bad guy. Makes both the United States military and Qasem Soleimani bad guy because they're all caring about their small little interest groups. They care about the lobbyists. They care about their imperial, their Shia ideology spreading everything, all of that. And the people that they don't care about, they're all evil because both the IRGC, the Quds Force, Soleimani, United States government, Trump administration, who they don't care about? They don't care about the American taxpayers. They don't care about the Iranian civilians. And the most important people here that they should care about and nobody cares about is the Iraqi civilians. Because guess what? This is their country. And everybody's treating it like it's a chessboard. Like it's their own battleground. And the Iraqi people are like, oh, Americans are attacking Iranians. Oh, Iranians are not attacking Americans. And this is our country. This is our country. And everybody's treating it like it's a battleground. And nobody cares, nobody is asking, hey, what about the Iraqi people? Maybe we should make a government for them. Maybe we shouldn't turn this to a playground between us. Huh? Nobody cares about them. They pretend to.
All the lies now about, the people were dancing in the streets. This is what Ari Fleischer said. He was one of the ghouls from the Bush administration who's now defending this. This is what people in Trump's administration are saying. The line at his funeral, the crowds at his funeral are the biggest crowds I've ever seen in my entire life. Look at what you just started.
Really?
Look at what you just did.
Oh my God, Kyle, look at the crowds. Oh my God, look at the number of people that came out for Soleimani. Woo, so huge. But the crowd that came in Iran that celebrated Soleimani's death, they were tiny, right? This is what Kyle is saying, okay? The number of people that came out for Soleimani, they were like, oh my God, Soleimani was a war hero. Why did he kill our war hero? Look at all these people mourning his death. Look at the numbers. They're huge. But the Iranians that came and danced in the street, they're like, yay, Soleimani is dead. They were tiny. That shows, look what you did, United States. Look at how much support Soleimani had. It's not because Kyle is not going to tell you this, because it's not relevant that the people that are against Soleimani when they come out and they protest and they show their support for the killing of Soleimani, they're risking their lives because they could get arrested or shot at because it's illegal in Iran to support Soleimani's death, to be celebrating Soleimani's death. I'm surprised there was even that many. And these people that are coming out and they're mourning Soleimani's death and they're anti-American and they're like, oh my God, you killed our war hero. They're coming out with all the Iranians' support and the government's complete funding and the buses and getting all the people out from their work. And if you stay at work and don't join the protest, you're a traitor to the country. And they're counting names and taking pictures, and the TV and the radio and this 24/7 is telling people to get out in the street, and is 3 days of mass, mourning. Everything is shut down. Pictures of Soleimani everywhere. The schools come out and they make the kids, make all the kids cry and beat your chest, and all this propaganda by the government. That has no impact on the mass number. What do you think would happen, Kyle, if all of a sudden the government said, like, hey, let the people that are against the regime come out and do whatever you want. No, nobody's going to be shot. Nobody's going to get arrested. Come out and say whatever you want. What do you think would happen then, Kyle? Do you think the numbers would be a little bit more balanced when that happens? Do you think that even we have so many people in the streets that are coming out and saying the things against the government and supporting the killing of Qasem Soleimani? Do you think that that number, those people that are risking their lives, how many other people think like that, but they don't want to risk their lives? All right, how many people, for every person that comes out and thinks that Qasem Soleimani killing was a good thing, and they hated Qasem Soleimani's guts, and hate the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, and hate the Islamic government in Iran, for every person in Iran that risks their lives, how many people in Iran do you think like that, but are not willing to risk their lives? You think if it was free, the numbers would not be a little bit different? You think that, Kyle? You think these mass numbers, like, how much you want to ask me how much I think it would be? I don't know. But guess what? You don't know either. Why are you advertising Islamic Republic of Iran's propaganda? Why are you doing that, Kyle? This is their propaganda, and you're doing it for them. This is not a fair comparison. You're like, oh yeah, some people came and danced in the street, but look at the numbers of the people that came and in support of Qasem Soleimani. That's not a fair comparison, Kyle. One of them is coming with the support of government. The other side is coming out and risking their goddamn lives. No, okay, yes, the person in live chat is saying, I know Kyle doesn't say that Iran is always good. I know Kyle doesn't say that. And he said, no, yeah, I know that the Iranian government is bad, but. And he says stuff like this. Tell me, this what he said just right now does not sound like he's acting like Qasem Soleimani was like a hero. He was on a peace mission. I'm losing my voice here. He was on a peace mission, and he attacked ISIS. Yes, he never says that Iran's government is good. I know he doesn't say that. He says they're bad. But he also makes it seem like he's a hero. If he doesn't want to make it seem like that, just say it. Just say it. Say it. He was a terrorist. Say it. He killed civilians. Say it, Kyle. Say it. Be consistent.
Nothing good will come from this at all. And
nothing good will come of it. You were wrong. All the warning, Alberta are like, oh my God, this is bad. This is going to go World War III. It didn't happen. Something else might cause it, but this didn't cause it. Darko is saying you guys need to do this live one-on-one. I wish, Kyle. I know you're probably not watching this because I'm a tiny channel compared to your giant channel. So I'm probably not that relevant for you to even consider having me on. But if you do want to have me on, please have me on. If you're not scared of me reacting to you.
Hold your breath, and we'll see what reaction they have, but they are going to do something without a doubt because they have no choice. You can't just murder somebody's general. They're going to respond.
Yeah, look at their response. We're going to attack American bases. We're going to show the great evil of America. Who's the boss? Americans, please, pull your troops out. We're going to attack your base. We don't want Americans dead, because if Americans die, we're going to go to war. Look what they did. Oh, yeah, World War III happened. Nope. You were wrong, Kyle. You were wrong.
And then Trump will probably unleash the hounds at that point even more.
Nope, didn't
happen.
happen.
We'll be in an all-out war.
Didn't happen, Kyle. You were wrong. And this is the next video I'm going to review, probably tomorrow. And Kyle is wrong here again. And I'm going to review this one. This one is shorter. It was only 7 minutes and 45 seconds. But it has to be reviewed. It has to be reviewed because this is not just Kyle saying these things. There's a lot of other people that say the same things, and it needs to be responded to. Anyways, I'm gonna stop it here. I like the thank you people in the live chat. Salim saying there were more people at Stalin's funeral. There were more people at Stalin's funeral. Stalin, who caused the death of tens of millions of people. Yeah, the number of people that show up on your funeral doesn't mean that you were the good guy. You know, Kyle's like, it seems like we were the bad guys. How about both sides were the bad guys? Dark is saying you guys... Yeah, I read that part. All right. Thank you guys in the live chat. Thank you. I'm glad that we had some opposition. The AB we had some guy sympathetic to Iran's government from Iran actually responding to us in the live chat, which was interesting. I wish there were some stronger pushback against me rather than just personal attacks. I mean, the personal attacks are fun, but I do want to hear some stronger attacks against me. I want to feel challenged. I want to be like, oh my God, this guy is really calling me out. I don't know what to say. This guy, like, I don't have a response to him. I have to think. Make me challenge me, goddammit. The personal attacks are fun and all, but I also want to be challenged sometimes, right? Kuffer saying good night, Armin. Good night, Kuffer. Love you guys. Invite other people to come watch my videos. Subscribe. If you watch to this part, if you watch all the way here and you're not yet subscribed, why are you not subscribed? If you watched all the way to this part, it means you like my content. You like the content that I make. You might as well subscribe then, because I'm gonna have more content like this. Hit that bell thing. You see, I had no warning. I just did this live chat because it met my schedule. I just went with no warning. Didn't tell you guys that I'm gonna do a live chat. So the only way you could know about these live discussions is if you hit the bell thingy. Hit the bell thingy. Where's the bell thingy? I think it's somewhere here. Somewhere here, probably, right? Hit that bell thing and share it. Share the video. All right, love you guys. Bye.